A lot of different ways KT can lose this game.
Well, we've seen the dangerous stuff that can happen when you hook somebody that Tom Kench then eats and flashes away with. Thresh can go on a very sad voyage after that.
Yes, you can. You don't fish for catfish.
You don't.
With a hook.
He will eat you. Not a lot of muscle on this. Not a lot of muscle on Thresh. Yeah. You got a noodle? Is that
got a noodle.
You're bringing it in again.
The blitz
We're
break.
not 10 minutes into this cast, and already Monte Cristo's bringing up the noodle.
Fish for catfish with barrels this game. Score's going to just knock him right back into the team.
I think so. Like shooting fish with a barrel this time,
The brute
I guess.
force way of fishing.
Who knows? Yep. A barrel gun? No one's going to. Well, that sounds like the name of a real gun. Maybe it is. I don't know, they banned us here. But it's time, guys. We're moving on to the Rift, so share your predictions throughout the day by tweeting @LOLEsports with the hashtag KTWin or hashtag KOOWin, and we will see who moves on to the semifinals between KT and KOO, Korean rivals moving on to Summoner's Rift. And it is time, guys. Who's ready for some League of Legends?
I'm
ready. I guess.
I'm ready.
All right, that's enough. That's enough for me.
I'm assuming Monty is ready as well.
I feel pretty ready.
All right, game one. I'm just resorting to reading the screen in the front now. There we go. Welcome to Summoner's Rift, guys. And it will be a teleport for Nagnes LeBlanc. That's a bit different, isn't it?
Definitely is. Expected on the Veigar, but now I wonder what KT's strategy is going to be. Nagne has been, both of these players actually are LeBlanc players, which is a bit surprising considering normally they're control mages and they don't actually play that many assassins. But this is the one assassin that these guys have both always played. And Veigar will be a new one, though.
Quadruple teleport.
Yeah, and to speak to the LeBlanc versus Veigar matchup, I actually think it's pretty heavily favorable for LeBlanc in lane. More so when LeBlanc brings Ignite, though, because it's a significant amount of kill pressure. Later in the game, it gets very easy for the Veigar to just ult the LeBlanc, who's usually going a high amount of ability power, and you can almost always get the ultimate in to force the LeBlanc out of the fight after one rotation. So Nagne is really going to have to snowball this game, I'd say even harder, because he's not able to win the lane phase through Summoner Spell.
Yeah, and maybe they can get some sort of advantage out of the laning phase and start split pushing, but one thing that Prey is really extraordinary at is his use of Hawkshot. And that was a major factor in the first win against CLG, was how well Prey was timing his Hawkshot, watching the enemy jungler consistently, and being able to set up plays on the mid lane from the side lanes as a result. So that's something that we usually don't see on the screen, more just on the mini-map, but it's something you should be keeping an eye out for this game because Prey is so good at timing it.
I'm wondering how this mid lane matchup's going to go between Nagne's LeBlanc and Kuro's Veigar. I mean, when LeBlanc comes in with the distortion, that's a dash, so that gets caught in the cage.
Correct.
But the jump out is a blink, so it won't be. So Kuro's going to need to be really fast and kind of predicted to have any chance of catching. Yeah,
basically LeBlanc holds all the cards in that matchup because there is an arm time on the cage. Basically, Nagne will always be able to predict if he's going to get caught in the event horizon, and Kuro can't actually reactively use it because if he uses it after Nagne has burned the damage, he can still get out freely. The only thing he can do is place the event horizon on the point where the distortion was cast from, so that if he swaps back, he stuns himself then.
I mean, he picked himself into the matchup, so clearly he's got some confidence against this LeBlanc. We'll see if he can follow it up. Gorilla harassing Peekaboo. Peekaboo plays him in. There's the third. Peekaboo forced to flash away. Doesn't want to get eaten by that Tom Kench.
Well, really early troubles here. Peekaboo is trying to walk a little bit too close to that brush and definitely is punished for it quite quickly into this game. And you know, they wanted to have some sort of advantage here with the Kalista, start using that lane bully status that this AD carry has, and they're just not going to get it now with a flash down.
Yeah, getting bullied right now by Prey and Gorilla. Score coming down, only 2 CS so far for Arrow.
Yeah, Ashe's early laning phase is actually tremendously underrated. It's one of the strongest laners in the right situation, and it was made even stronger here by the fact that Gorilla and Prey did Gromp about 5 seconds faster than Arrow and Peekaboo did the Krugs. So they very easily got level 2 first, and as we saw, it wasn't properly respected by Peekaboo and Arrow, so he had to use his flash while he was out-leveled by the opponent bottom lane. That's actually a pretty big mistake there. If you know, you should know that you're going to be out-level 2, and you should almost never get caught as a level 1 versus level 2 in this lane situation.
Oh, definitely. Standard lanes, though, continuing on. Score moving up towards the top. They want to be a little bit careful because they know Hojin was lurking around in the enemy jungle. There he is. Score finding him, going to do a little bit of damage on his way out. Actually, Nagne coming up. There's the flash in response from Hojin. Meanwhile, Someday keeps Smed up in the top lane, but he may regret it. Smeb comes in. Can he get the kill? Not quite. He flashes, tries to go over for the turret. The turret hits him, and first blood goes to Someday. Smeb getting a bit overeager there.
And actually, that kill was caused by Nagne's teleport because Smeb could have retreated backwards, but the teleport LeBlanc secures first blood. He doesn't get anything out of it, so he loses mid lane pressure, but the top lane matchup is much more important.
For the team.
I am so surprised that you'd see that level of all-in from Someday because he was really willing to scrap, but Nagne had the time in the mid lane to make the teleport up there, so it's all coordinated. We can see there's no Veigar right there, and so LeBlanc easily able to respond to this, walking up the river and then using the TP.
Yeah, Smeb was able to outplay the first Decimate by getting inside the ring, and he's confident enough to do the all-in because the junglers were engaged down bottom. That flash forward, though, was the instant Smeb regretted his decision and gives up first blood.
Made a terrible mistake. Meanwhile, down in bot lane, things still progressing. Arrow pretty far behind in CS yet, but he has had a chance to catch up just a bit. And Someday, wow, not wasting any time going aggressive onto Smeb again. He's got that double Doran's, so he's got the Ruby Crystal, actually, too. So he's got the sustain that Smeb is kind of lacking right now.
Yeah, with that one item advantage, it's going to be very difficult for Smeb to walk up on the minion wave right now. So here's Hojin ready to help.
Smeb trying to bait Someday back. Hojin comes in. There's a knockup. They know that Darius has no flash. Ward's thrown down. Someday in a lot of trouble. Can they take him up before he gets to the turret with that slow? I think they can. The heal was nearly enough. Someday pulls him in. Oh, and he gets 1 for 1. Someday already doing work on that Darius.
Just getting the Decimate off cooldown, hitting 2 people, getting the heal in was enough to buy him time to get back under the turret. And I love this Fiora-Darius matchup. It is so fun to watch in this top side. Smeb will get a kill in response, but it's been a wild one so far.
It really feels like Fiora Darius is the essence of what they say when we call it a skill matchup, because it really depends on how they play. It depends on the item timings. Different breakpoints come out throughout the game that gives either one an advantage. And that was honestly a perfectly timed gank by Hojin, but Someday executed well enough in the escape that he traded the kill back. That gank almost equalized that lane entirely, but instead they just trade a kill, and Someday will maintain a small advantage.
Yep, pretty much picks up that long sword while Smeb picks up his Ruby Crystal. Meanwhile, a little bit of action in the bot lane. And this one could get a bit bloody overall, too. I mean, coming into this, KT and KOO, besides SK Telecom, had the highest kills per game, the lowest deaths per game, so they really know how to make the plays that result in kills.
Well, not only that, though.
Level 6 Darius.
Oh, time to dive.
Yep.
They're going to go
Darius
in.
will take turret first so that they can stack up bleed stacks if they want to go, but they're a little sloppy on the initiation there.
Yeah, Someday took a couple of shots right there walking back under the turret, so they're not going to be able to pull that one off quite yet. All right, stepping right there.
Yeah, that's enough poke that they're going to want to pressure Smeb off this turret or force a Rek'Sai to come up elsewhere. They haven't had eyes on Hojin, so there's going to be a little bit of trepidation on this gank. They're wondering if Rek'Sai is going to come through, but they have all the entrances covered, so they think this is pretty much a safe dive if they want to go.
Should be. Score is right there, but yeah, again, they don't quite know where Hojin is, and they're actually going to give that one up for the moment. Recall for Someday, so will they decide to go for it? Smeb coming down, and it doesn't look like anything's going to happen right now. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, Kuro has fallen a little bit behind in CS, but you kind of expect that in this matchup.
And when it comes to the early game, we briefly touched on this before, but in the first 15 minutes of the game, KOO was up 3.2 kills for every death that they had, and KT was up 2.25 kills for every death that they had in the group stage.
Wow. So one of those things will change.
One of those things will change, but they like to fight. They've been very successful at acquiring kills early. These are the top 2 teams at Worlds so far in terms of kill-to-death ratio pre-15 minutes.
Someday going at it again.
Beautifully done.
Yeah.
This matchup is almost entirely decided on 2 things. It's the riposte timing by the Fiora, and also Darius being able to land the outer ring of his Decimate. Whichever one of those goes more beneficial for either the Fiora or the Darius is generally what swings the matchup.
True enough. CS nearly dead even, though. Someday protecting himself against some ganks, which you know Hojin really wants to make happen. I don't know. We seem to have hit a bit of a lull in the action for now.
Yeah, but at the moment, KOO is actually swapping the lanes, and the question will be whether this was scouted out by KT because they haven't pinged anyone missing. Here
Are
they
you looking
come.
for a challenge? Whoa, the entire entire KOO team almost showing up. There's Nagne as well, came in with his teleport. Someday is gonna get taken out, and now they're gonna go after Nagne. Can't quite catch him though. Whoa, big barrel from Score, and Kuro takes a couple big turret hits. KOO might stick around to take down this turret, but man, everybody wanted a piece of Smeb in that top lane.
Well, they needed to shut him down, right? He was getting too much of an advantage, so they send all 5 people up into that top side to go ahead and make a play right here. We did see Gorilla hit that level 6, try and come in very quickly, and they caught Someday unaware. And now KT scrambling to get this turret.
Yeah. KT is now trying to respond to KOO's great lane swap that sent 5 people up top. I think overall, the fact that KT was able to keep 2 people down in the bottom lane means the gold's going to stay pretty close. Mainly that gank top lane was KOO's way out of losing matchups. They were losing that top lane extremely badly. It's actually something the Flash Wolves did against KOO when KOO had a huge amount of pressure early on in the game, is they lane swapped their AD carry and support top lane later on in the game to equalize it. Now they're trying to swap back, but they might be a bit out of position.
Oh, it's fighting time in the bot lane. Arrow comes in, throws Peekaboo on towards Prey. Prey eaten by Gorilla. Gorilla a lot of trouble, has to pop that E. Throws himself over to the other KOO players coming in. Nagne backing away. Smeb with the first kill on to Nagne. KOO with an early lead in this fight. Someday and Arrow in a little bit of trouble. Peekaboo already on the way out, and Someday gets knocked up by Hojin. Drexler, it's going to be another kill. Smeb grabs it yet again.
All 5 members of KOO are always in the same place. I mean, Gorilla coming in with the Tom Kencheld in the first fight, this time just being there as KOO is rapidly just alternating the sides of the map, trying to catch out KT, and it's working. They're gonna get the first dragon.
And I'm wondering what is necessarily going through KT's heads right now, because they have been the team that wards the most, and they have been the team that's gone upgraded yellow trinket on their mid laner every single game. But this match, they've gone sweeper on the LeBlanc. They have a very late Sightstone timer on Score. He hasn't even begun to build it yet, and they are actually losing because they're not tracking where KOO is on the map. They are not doing the things that they have done throughout all of the group stage in order to become 5-1 and get here, and they're getting punished because of it.
Well, this is looking good for KOO because KT has been opting into these fights. The bad side of what KOO is doing is that you try and load 5 people into one lane, and you lose pressure across 2 lanes on the map. So it's been functional because KT has been willing to scrap out with them. If KT starts to play a little bit more defensively, they can punish with turrets.
Well, I think to keep in mind, too, is the last time these 2 teams met, KOO did win the first game as well, and KT still took the series.
And I feel like specifically, though, if KT wants to be able to play defensively, they need to have the vision because they're being surprised by these 5-man ganks, and they can't accurately gauge that there are actually 5 people there. So until they get the proper wards up on the map, I think KOO will continue to be able to roam 5 people and create numbers advantages.
And we saw the dragon stats come up there too. KT actually, surprisingly, they're 5-1 in the group stage, but they actually lost more dragons than they secured. Meanwhile, the KOO Tigers, much more dragon focused, about 2-to-1 ratio on those dragons secured versus lost. So KT really needs to tighten up their control over that objective. And if you're KOO coming in, you start to think, hey, maybe we should prioritize this, try for that 5 dragon stacks, and that's what's going to get us the win here.
I wouldn't be surprised. It is odd, though, because KT, did prioritize those dragons so much in Korea and Champion Summer. So to see them kind of play a bit of a different style here at Worlds, maybe something that a lot of people are expecting. And I think KOO's got it right as far as trying to fight and control those early on. Doesn't look like KT's going to be able to steal their blue. KOO's going to take that one for Kuro.
Now this big swing in the top lane, too. All of a sudden, Smeb starting out 0-1. Now 4 kills. 4-1, and they've managed to keep Someday down. And I think what they're doing is so smart, because it's when Someday starts to get ahead and become that unstoppable split pusher that KT really gets rolling. So they've just thrown a wrench in the gears there.
It seems, too, that Peekaboo and Score have not been able to do what Peekaboo and Score are kind of known for doing, which is get in the enemy jungle, put down a lot of wards. You look at the map right now, not a lot of KT wards on the KOO side. And the thing is these 2 teams know each other really, really well. KOO knows exactly what KT wants to do with their jungle and support, and they're doing a great job of stopping it.
I would agree. Gonna get a free turret right here, no defense.
Yep.
Arrow popping down.
That'll help.
From the jungle, but easily taken, and gonna get a freeze on the other side, though.
Yeah, at this point, though, KOO will need to get some actual deep wards if they want to make their next move. They've been able to hawkshot things down a little bit. I think they're mainly able to get that turret. Was that the Abyssal Voyage out
To get
to
out.
the ground?
So, yeah, what happened was KOO pushed forward right there, they didn't have a lot of wards in the river, so
they were afraid they're getting
They were
collapsed.
afraid that they were going to get collapsed on, especially since LeBlanc's teleport was up. So they go ahead and use the Tom Kench ult just to secure the turret and get out.
Makes sense.
And this is what I love about this Abyssal Voyage is as this tournament has progressed, we've seen more and more use of the Tom Kench ult. Started coming in, nobody really using it in an interesting or a flashy way, but we're seeing more and more ways to use it as the players get more comfortable with this champion.
Well, between 2 teleports and Rek'Sai ult and Tom Kench ult, KOO can basically be anywhere on the map they
and
want anytime.
Ash Arrow, you know, whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that may be one of the reasons Nagne, instead of going for Ignite, went for Teleport, because they were realizing that they were so outscaled in globals here, and that's a large part of what's been winning teams games here at World. So they're trying to keep up a little bit, although I feel like KT is shooting themselves in the foot a little bit early here, not upgrading yellow trinkets early, going sweeper on LeBlanc when Nagne has been doing nothing but upgraded warding trinkets, and they are getting a little bit out-roamed on, and they are going to be more vulnerable to picks, I feel like, because KOO has the initiation tool with the Ashe.
Yeah, they definitely do. And we're getting into the point now. We talked about 15 to 30.
A little bit of action onto Kuro, but Nagne not really finding anything. Peekaboo not landing any hooks.
Got the flash, though. That's pretty big.
Helps, certainly, against a champion like Veigar that doesn't have a lot of maneuverability.
For 15 minutes, this is where KT, they like to farm a lot. This is where KOO likes to kill you. So we'll see who gets the better end of this, because KT has been a great team at farming all 3 lanes, but KOO, this is when they want the plays to happen. They want to fight you, they want to skirmish. And KT, the mass wards are starting to come down as they regain control over the topside river.
Yeah, now things are starting to swing just a bit, but they've got to protect this mid lane turret. If KOO takes this out, along with the bottom lane, they'll have really good dragon control. KT, though, going to deny them for now. Someday it looked like he wanted to be sneaky, but nope. Hard to be stealthy when you're dribbling a basketball.
It's too noisy,
That's right.
especially trying to dribble it in water. I'm not actually sure how that
You
works.
don't see James Bond dribbling a basketball or anything like that.
You don't see anybody dribbling a basketball in a river.
No. Well, you see people try, but they fail pretty miserably. Well, I'm sure they'll invent something for James Bond. If he wants to play basketball in a river, he can.
Yeah, they invented the invisible car. I'm sure bouncing a ball on water isn't that
How
difficult.
hard can it be? Come on, Q, get on that. Seriously. Well, someday, just pushing up to the top lane as well.
Yeah, I will say, though, we mentioned the 10 to 15-minute jump that KOO had so heavily in the group stage, the largest of any team. They actually averaged 2,300 gold advantage specifically between 10 minutes and 15 minutes, and we're thinking, it's just because of the group stage. They had a 2,000 gold jump between the 10 and 15 minutes against KT in this game. They have been very good at making that nice rotation that leads to a team fight win against pretty much every team at Worlds, and they did it again here against KT.
And here comes Dragon. Second one just came back. Wondering where the first one went. He'll probably find out soon. Can KT take it, though?
You think the dragons will stop just flying back into that one pit.
It's like,
There's like a pile of dragon bones at the bottom. Maybe they shouldn't be here.
there's like a big dragon cave underneath, and there's some dude who's like, all right, who wants to go to Dragon Funland? And they're like, me. And he's like, George, it's your turn. They open the door, and he flies out, and everyone's like, oh, I'm so jealous. I'll be next. Little did they know. It's really kind of messed up when you think about it.
And then like 25 seconds later, it is dead on average because these teams get it so quick.
Nobody knows that, though. The dragon's underneath the dragon pit. They don't know about this. Somebody should tell them.
Yeah, the cruelty to animals is pretty real.
It's horrible.
Isn't it a mystical beast?
Oh, mystical beasts can be animals.
That's true.
What are you, mystical beastist?
We just need a new one. People for the ethical treatment of mystical beasts.
Huh. Could be P-tempt.
Doesn't have quite the same ring.
Not really,
Yeah,
no.
does it?
Well, nobody really willing to go for the dragon so far right now. KOO just grabbing their blue buff, and we'll see if they can move around it. They've got wards down, but KT paying a lot of attention to the map right now.
Yeah, the item breakpoints aren't as in the favor of a team with a lead as they kind of should be. There's already a Negatron cloak on Nagne. A lot of this would actually have to be a pick created by KOO, which is why I think they're waiting. KOO doesn't have the advantage if they just group up and dare them to fight, but if they can actually get a catch, or will it be Gorilla getting caught?
Oh, Gorilla may have gotten caught here, but here comes Prey, teleports all over the place. Gorilla, Prey on the run, Kuro and Smeb coming into challenge immediately onto Someday, who just gets destroyed. KT on the run already. We'll see how far KOO wants to chase, but they can really turn on that dragon anytime, and that's exactly what they're going to do.
Really sure what Someday was thinking there, right into 5
Want to be hero.
being.
Yeah, one of the strangest things about double TP on both sides is you're never 100% sure who is coming in whenever teleports are there.
It's true.
So maybe he didn't think he was going to come in right onto a baby cage from Veigar. But specifically, that's one of those teleports you almost have to cancel because his team was not in position. He should have seen the beginning of the Event Horizon because he was stunned the instant he came in. And it's 4th death there for Someday. He's actually getting punished pretty hard.
He was playing so well in the early game, but now I really feel like a lot of desperation coming in from Someday here in the mid lane. And he should feel desperate with KT falling farther behind, losing that second dragon. It's got to be starting to make him sweat a bit. Oh, Gorilla, he's fishing.
I feel like fights that begin by Tahm Kench taking damage almost always favor the Tahm Kench. My experience through all of the Tahm Kench games at Worlds.
Relish, isn't it?
That fight, Nagne ended up blowing his TP too, trying to come in from behind. Really disjointed, poor engage there from KT.
Well, you got to wonder how experienced they are with playing with this double teleport. It was never a huge thing in Korea in the summer. It's something that I feel like the teams from that region are still kind of learning a bit about.
It's definitely something that many of the teams here at Worlds from across regions have had to take a lot more seriously. We thought this is the way the mid lane was going to go at the World Championship, just given the champion pools and the opportunity to do so.
What I feel like is so interesting about this matchup is the double teleport was more for the controlling mages that don't have solo kill potential. I didn't necessarily expect to see teleport on an assassin.
Yeah, you think you'd still want to go with something like Knight instead.
Yeah, because then you can out-pressure the person teleporting and stop his ability to TP.
One wonders.
Especially since they have to kill this Veigar early in the late game, and they could do that with a LeBlanc flank, because being a little bit sneaky on the side, using the control of the vision, but it's not going to be quite so much of an option in this particular matchup.
Yep. KT pressuring that mid lane now. Never mind, they're not.
Well, they're trying to, but we've kind of been over this discussion of Veigar and how I think it's going to be a massive pick throughout the rest of Worlds because he has almost everything that is currently valued in the game. Great late game scaling, great siege, great wave clear. He can assassinate other squishes coming at him. He's a strong team fighter. The only weakness is his mobility, and he is attackable in that sense. But if you're positioned well in the hands of a good player, it is one of the most powerful mid lane picks.
Yeah, we talked about him kind of as a new Victor, a little bit less mobility, but counterbalancing that with some insane single target damage and an ability to punish AP champions both in the mid and the top lane should they come through.
Well, man, if you get hit by an Ash arrow, that's just like a golden ticket for Veigar to walk up and destroy you.
I mean,
Instant death.
You're not living through getting hit by an Ash arrow if the KOO Tigers fire it because they're going to chain it straight into Event Horizon, and that's going to be it.
Yeah, and they're going to take the mid lane turret.
And that's the siege right there, Event Horizon around the turret. So if you want to walk up to wave clear, you're walking into your own death. Unless you can set up flanks, but at the time, KT doesn't even have their teleports up right now, so a really smart move for KOO to siege in that particular situation. KOO is actually very vulnerable to flanks, especially if they're using their Event Horizon in a siege situation, but they were very safe to do so in that situation.
KOO's doing such a good job at moving around the map in a group too, and we talked about, when you move in a group like that, you let the other lanes get behind, but they've got enough pressure across lanes now that they've got the time to do that, I guess, and make it work.
Well, the pushing pressure really isn't there for KT.
I suppose they have to try to match KOO, don't they?
Arrow's still waiting on that Ruinance Hurricane, so he can't wave clear as fast as he would like, so this is a great time for KOO just to set up this Veigar siege.
Yep.
Look at the kiting right there. There's just nothing coming in. You shoot out that volley, you put down the Event Horizon, and there aren't very many options. It really is up to Someday and Nagne to try and get a flank here. And Arrow has to farm right now because that Ruinance Hurricane is so important to controlling the minion waves so that KOO just can't group so freely.
Can that even really stop the siege, though? I mean, the attack range on Callista, if Veigar walks up and again, puts that Event Horizon down near the turret, can you get close enough to even clear the way?
It's mostly about clearing the side waves so they can't just group with no punishment. They have to. They will be forced to lose minions onto their own turrets if that's going to be the case.
Yeah, KT has to be ahead of the play of the 5 people grouping in the mid lane and create split lane pressure, and that in turn can set up the threat of teleport flanks. If KT ever gets in a situation where their side lanes aren't pushed once again, they're basically losing that intermid lane.
Makes sense. Praying Gorilla pushing up this top lane a little bit, taking a detour to make sure that the minions are going their way. And KT just kind of seems afraid to try to really push out at all. They've got a couple wards a little bit into the top jungle for KOO. but it's not really doing them a lot of good right now. Dragon in 1 minute. And if KOO gets 3 in a row, KT has really got to start being terrified. They're worried now. They'll be terrified if that third Dragon goes over the KOO Tigers.
Yeah, especially since they've got the Gragas engage going for them, but that's about it.
Yeah.
And KOO just has so much peel and kiting potential that fighting around that Dragon is a very unattractive option for KT.
And the blue buff. Oh, goes to Hojin. Whoops. Hojin.
We actually haven't seen that much.
No.
Yeah,
It's actually been surprisingly
first
infrequent.
one
I
I
think this
remember.
is the first one I've seen.
Well, congratulations to Hojin. First one to steal the blue from his mid laner.
well, at least he can get cooldown reduction.
I know.
Congratulations.
I really need it.
More
bro.
tunnels, you know.
Oh, see, that's exactly what KOO wants to do
Oh.
to Nagne. As soon as
Yeah.
he distorted in, he placed the event horizon right on the start of the distortion, so Nagne was either trapped inside or he had to go back and stun himself. Ends up burning his passive on it.
Yeah, very nice. Lost a lot of health on that. KOO Tigers sieging that tier 2 in mid lane. Now Score trying to come from the side, but he's getting zoned a bit.
Now the teleport.
That's right, teleport coming in, and Nagne tries to do a bit of damage, but Gorilla just blocks it. Just eats Hojin right up.
Once
Digs
again,
him right out of the ground, I guess.
that's an example of why Tahm Kench is spectacular against pick compositions. As soon as someone was beginning to get caught, Gorilla could just waddle over and completely stuff that attempt. Now KOO is set up in the mid lane with good split push pressure in one lane. They can actually threaten either Dragon or Baron because they are set up so actively in the mid lane, and they've already burned Nagne's teleport, which is quite honestly the main flank at this point, since Someday has yet to pick up home guards and is needed consistently in the lane, so he doesn't have time to go back to base to charge his home guards and get off a good Darius flank.
Yeah. I kind of feel bad for Rek'Sai. You know, you're burrowing, you're cool, and then some guy shows up that can not only burrow like you can, but can take people along for the ride in his mouth. It's like, great, well, I guess I'm kind of boring now if I'm Rek'Sai. Looks like third Dragon being started by the KOO Tigers. And will KT be able to stop this? They need to stop this.
If there was a time to stop it, it would be now, because they have not got a pick before the Dragon.
Coming in, waiting to try to smite it away. KOO breaking out for the moment. Oh, Score takes the Dragon for KT Rolster. Arrow comes in onto Arrow. He's going to cleanse it immediately, and KT trying to kite away. Kuro gets bounced in, though. He's in trouble. No, gets picked up by Gorilla, of course, but knocked over the wall. In fact, Someday got that kill. And now KT comes in. A huge apprehend by Someday, and KT all over the KOO Tigers. Even the challenge from Smeb wasn't enough, and there goes Gorilla. That is nearly a clean ace for KT Rolster.
Credit to KT Rolster for taking a fight and playing well, but a big mistake by KOO Tigers to not prep that fight with vision or a pick of some kind. They just allowed KT a free attempt at a Dragon Steal and then a full straight-up 5v5 engagement.
You can't respond with the arrow here, so the event horizon goes down. It just zones out while the Dragon dies, and at this point, KOO gets very greedy. With the event horizon down, shooting the arrow is not as attractive, especially when it hits the Kalista running cleanse. And right here, Peekaboo zones him out. Kuro gets hooked. So poor positioning from the Veigar. Gorilla tries to save him, but he just dies inside the belly from the damage over time. And then Someday comes in with a huge apprehend.
Big body slam right into a 3-man apprehend, and it is lights out for the KOO Tigers.
Someday Score and the Hurricane from Arrow did so much work in that fight, but specifically it was just a very poorly played setup by the KOO Tigers. They lost all of their zone control, and we mentioned how they're vulnerable to flanks because they actually have a fairly not a very mobile team composition with the Veigar and the Ashe, but they have tremendous setup. They sacrificed their setup and they allowed KT to then use the mobility of LeBlanc, Gragas, and Kalista to get in on them. But now they're trying to shut down Someday yet again.
Trying to save Smeb. Someday in a little bit of trouble on
Very
the
big
run
Darius.
now. KOO is all over him, and he is out of there. Even the ultimate can't save him, and Smeb topped up with that heal. After the kill, he's 5-2-2 now, so still doing okay. Gold lead is in favor of KT. They do have the pressure right now, but they'll need a little bit more from that. We're able to pick up the Baron, too, and all that.
Baron up minions, Ashe arrow down, so they're feeling pretty safe about this siege.
Yep. Facing KOO. Whoop, there we go. Score. A little bit of trouble. Knocks Smeb away. Has to burn his ult just to stay alive. So how much can KT get done with this Baron buff?
Well, that's going to be the question. They already wasted it a little bit by sacrificing Someday right there, putting him in a vulnerable position where he could get killed. And so now we've got a little bit of waiting to do. One thing that's a bit interesting here is we haven't seen the Aegis come out yet. Score has intriguingly decided to build a Frozen Heart in this game, which I really don't think is the priority when we're playing against a Veigar.
I mean, clearly they're worried about Smeb, but still, yeah, late game, that Veigar is going to do extreme amounts of damage.
I can kind of understand it. If Kuro wants to use his ultimate on Score to kill him, KT's probably saying, sure. Then Arrow, Nagne, and Someday are going to be able to do work. So I can see the logic behind it, not to mention with the Cinder Hulk and the Mercury Treads, it will be hard for Kuro to one-shot him anyway. I also have to mention the frontline power of KT and how interesting it makes these mid to late game fights. Because if Someday and Score get to a tanky enough point where an Ash Arrow will not kill them, and if Peekaboo can complete the McHale's, the lack of frontline for the KOO Tigers will create incredibly difficult teamfight situations for KOO. Late game Fiora, as strong as you can get, if you're not finding the right initiations into teamfights and you can't get through the other team's tank line, you become extremely ineffective.
Enough. Well, KOO just wants their blue buff right now. They're not going to get it, though. Went over to Arrow, able to steal it with that Ren. Meanwhile, mid-tier 2 goes down in favor of KT. They got the turret. Can KOO punish this at all? Doesn't look like it. Looks like they just have to defend their inhibitor turret.
These event horizons haven't really impressed me from Kuro this game. He's had a couple of good ones, but he seems to be throwing it down too early and not really considering the rest of the crowd control on his team, because that one spell is incredibly crucial to how they're going to teamfight or even defend these towers.
Positioning does seem off a bit. KT going after that tier 2 down and bottom now. And KOO really had everything going for them.
KOO
That fight over the third dragon turned it all around.
KOO is right now trying to defend without the Ash Arrow, so there's no good threat of them initiating. Their split push pressure has all but died at this point, because it seems like Someday, especially at level 16, currently has the power spike over the 5-kill Smeb, so they can't send him safely over in that direction. KT is really taking control of this game off of that Dragon and then Baron.
Yeah, Smeb has had to itemize a bit awkwardly for MR, however, in this particular game, which is a little bit rough if we're talking about that split push one-on-one between Someday and Smeb with Fiora versus Darius. So we'll have to keep track of how that's going to go. Does finally buy a Chain Vest, so that should be a little bit more helpful. And KT looks like they just want to push the lanes out. They recalled early, stop the siege. They really need to set up for this dragon.
Yeah, that's just it. I mean, it's only 35 seconds or so until that next dragon comes up. So if the waves aren't pushing your favor, you're going to have a lot of trouble trying to secure it.
And I do want to point out the change in strategy mid-game here by KT. They swapped to a upgraded warding trinket on Nagne to get better vision.
There we go.
And then he also bought green wards on top of that. So the warding trinket itself was enough to reach your ward cap. He's only buying the green wards to then replace his own wards on the map and reposition, because it is so important that KOO doesn't get a surprise initiation on KT right now. That's the only way they get back into the game.
They're trying, hiding in that brush for a moment. Going to clear some wards out. They want that third dragon, or fourth dragon, or their third dragon stack, that is.
This game could still end. I mean, it's not that much of a goal difference at this stage, and one good arrow from Prey could really turn things around and open up this match.
It's a close game. If KOO gets the fight they want, it could end right there, but the same could be said for KT, and I feel like we're seeing a lot of what we saw in that last best of 5 that we saw in the semifinals for Champion Summer between these two teams.
Yeah, very tight games. Yeah. Pretty evenly contested. KT just trying to get the control over the mid and the bottom side right now. They've got great wards in the bottom for LeBlanc right now to keep split pushing up, so Nagne will feel very safe. And KOO just gonna back right off as the waves start to hit their tier 2s.
Pretty much. I'm wondering how much AP Kuro has right now, how much he's been able to build over the course of the game.
Let me tell you.
Find out.
700 is the answer.
Yeah, he's gained
lower than I would have expected.
He's gained 200 from his stacking as of now. And he's also gone for the death cap early, which many consider to be the suboptimal build. You get so much bonus AP, you almost want to go Void Staff's second item.
Yeah.
But instead, he's just going for the big numbers.
Interesting. Well, KOO going for the tier 2 down in mid lane here. KT may try to go onto this though someday. Back.
That's a
Gonna burn
teleport.
That teleport. He's coming in. KOO Tigers on the run already. Teleport from Nagne as well. Someday trying to flank, trying to bottle in the KOO Tigers. Smeb goes in onto Score. He's going to get turned on immediately though. Pops that ultimate onto Score. Can't get the kill, can't get the heal. Peekaboo in the mid lane. There's a kill for Arrow now. Score goes down, or rather Smeb goes down. Someday in the team all over the KOO Tigers. There's the ult, and here come the resets. Flash with the apprehend as well. Nice grab onto Kuro from Peekaboo. And this fight is all KT. Triple kill already for Nagne.
Yeah, KT completely steamrolls KOO in that straight-up engagement.
Well,
they had good flanks that exposed the event horizon early from Kuro, and then KOO really just had no chance against the power of this KT composition.
Someday just rolling in with the home guards, and that's been a specialty of Someday for a long time.
Oh,
Great
yeah.
TP flanks, finds it again, baits out the event horizon, and there's no more defense for KOO. They try and split, but this is going to be the end of the game.
That's right. Hojin doing everything he can, but the timers are just too long, and there goes the Nexus. Game 1 goes to KT Rolster. GG.
Very competitive game. Back and forth there. That one fight at Dragon got KT back in it after they made some mistakes in the early game, started to fall behind in kills, and you could see KOO did everything they could to...
Yeah.
To me, it feels like a matchup that Fiora will actually be able to win a little bit early until Renekton gets a little bit more resiliency, because the damage over time from Renekton, once he's able to pop his ultimate, if he can avoid the grand duel from Fiora, I think it would give Renekton a small edge there, but I'm really fascinated to see all these lanes play out, because this was a very mirrored start by both teams. You can see the junglers are doing pretty much the same path to the jungle. Both top laners started with the double jungle. The Caitlyn is straight up against the Jinx, and that is where the advantage is going to be gained, not as much through team play as we're used to seeing, but more through just straight up laning, kind of a classic matchup here.
Yeah. Pretty much. Praying Gorilla trying to put that pressure on to Arrow and Peekaboo like we talked about. Prey using that long auto attack range, and Gorilla, of course, always there with that threat of the taunt. Crab walking his way around the bot lane. Aren't you glad Shen's back, Tony?
I'm not.
I'm thrilled. Really, even after becoming Shen?
Yeah, we were two Shens, it's true.
That's true, we became a Shen. You know, sometimes
even
you
after
live long
walking
enough to become the Shen.
Walking like 500 feet in Shen shoes, you still do not sympathize.
I feel a kinship with Shen now.
I knew what it was like to be the world's worst ninja for a short period of time.
Yeah, I mean, we're commentators. We're loud and very obvious, aren't we? So that, just like Shen, the ninja.
Just as illogical as a tank ninja.
Makes sense. Support ninja. Makes way more sense. Ojin lurking about for a gank. Someday comes in with the stun. Smeb wasn't able to block that one.
This could be a pretty big brawl.
Oh yeah, Smeb coming in. Smeb very low already. Can he get taken out? He will. First blood goes to Someday, and now they're going to chase Hojin out of the lane. A flash used. Repel coming down, and they're not going to be able to finish off Hojin, it looks like. Oh, maybe they are. Whoa, that was really close.
Huge credit right here to KT Score for making that gank happen so quickly. By closing the distance with this flash immediately, he almost invalidated the counter gank. Renekton wants the 2v2, so does the Gragas. Also, he had faster jungle pathing, so the Gragas had a level advantage on the Elise regardless of the result of that gank. So KT just played that almost perfectly, so there was no counterplay available.
Until a moment ago, he was 2 levels ahead on Hojin.
Yeah, somebody did pop the second W a little bit early, though, from the repel, and so had to hit a minion before the repel came down. That could have maybe been a double kill, but a little bit of an error. And he's back again. Oh, boy.
Smeb in big trouble. There's the stun. Smeb trying to get away, but no flash, and he's going to get taken out nearly. Oh, wow, there we go. Someday gets the kill. The turret doing a lot of damage, and the stun from Kuro barely doesn't catch him. Oh, Someday.
This is now a massive hole for Smeb, because Someday's already hit the point of being level 6, so even if it's a 1v1 or 1v2, Renekton is actually kind of classic for 1v2ing when the jungle ganks you once he's ahead in the lane. Someday is good at League of Legends, and he's ahead.
Yeah, and that gank, too, was such a mind game. So what happened there, they kill Smeb, and there's a huge minion wave coming to the turret. So they know that Smeb is going to TP back immediately. So Score, he's 2 levels up on Hojin, was 5-3, sits in the brush, and you don't expect Someday to use his teleport to come back into lane when the minion wave is pushed. So they immediately turn around and gank that. So a great mind game on the second gank there from KT. Really nice jungling from Score.
It's one of my favorite things to do. If you can kill the top laner, get him to burn the teleport back, and just never leave the lane, because normally it's such a large investment to kill him, wait in the brush for him to walk back, but if you can predict that he's going to teleport back, it's actually also an efficient gank as well as an incredibly effective gank. You can see Score's level 6 now. He's leveling with the solo lanes. He is a monster now because now he can gank with his ultimate.
That's crazy. I don't think I've ever seen you so happy, Jet.
Hey, when
Jungle plays.
smart,
Yes.
efficient jungle play, though. Not just all this ward and be a sightstone right away, just like being so efficient. Of course, he built the sightstone right away, but it's still impressive.
You're really a bloodthirsty jungler then, aren't you?
Absolutely.
All right, I can agree with that.
He had the farm advantage. He got the 2 assists. So you have to think about it like a free sightstone Jack. He's still, still trailblazer to trailblazer. He hasn't really lost anything. And here we go again.
Oh, Smeb. Able to get out of that one, but you just cannot get close to this Renekton right now. He's doing too much damage. He's got that pickaxe and a longsword on top of just the 2 Doran's blades and a ruby crystal for Smeb. It's bad for Smeb, that's what I'm saying.
Smeb life is not good right now.
All right, tried to block the stun there, didn't work. Someday gonna pop the ultimate grand challenge used by Smeb. Here comes Hojin. They're gonna lock Renekton down, and actually Smeb and Hojin get the kill. Nice gank by the KOO Tigers.
Well, Doa, sometimes when you don't have wards in the river, you shouldn't be trying to all-in your opponent.
Yeah.
I heard that.
Someday getting very greedy and misplaying that entirely.
No
Without
jungle
knowledge
backup.
of Hojin or with help from Score. Pretty sloppy.
He's like, hey, I'm here to... Oh,
Be efficient.
already died. I see how it is.
Here to be. Come on. All right.
See, does this make you mad as a jungler now, Jack? Because you get your lane ahead and then he just goes and dies and you're not there. You're like, what did I do all that work for?
It makes you a little angry, I would have to say, especially because he's allowed to play that aggressive. Someday is, as long as Smeb isn't level 6, because he would be able to 2v2 an Elise and Fiora as long as he doesn't have Grand Challenge on him. But credit to Hojin as well for flashing out of the brush there in order to get Someday before he could slice and dice away. And it was a well-executed gank by KOO, but at the same time, Someday should never have put himself in that position. And honestly, the advantage is gone until he gets Tiamat.
Well, game 2 is a roller coaster in the top lane and a roller coaster of emotion for Jet.
And there finally Smeb gets the riposte done, turns it right around on Someday.
Yep.
It's been a bit of a mind game as to when that W would come out so far. And Someday's mostly managed to avoid getting the stun turned around, but that time really taking a pretty harsh turnaround in that little trade.
We saw Someday get picked on early on in game 1, and then Smeb was able, or Someday was able to turn it back around. Now we're kind of seeing the reverse, where they're picking out Smeb, and he's starting to finally turn it around.
Yep. Very similar to last game.
Yep.
Get Someday ahead, Someday makes a mistake, Someday starts to fall behind, Someday, the third step of this is Someday gets an excellent teleport and totally owns a team fight, so.
And he can definitely do that on a champion like Renekton.
Now he's got Tiamat on Renekton, which is the go-to item, since after you use your W stun, you can then Tiamat, which allows you to get more damage off more quickly, because normally you're frozen in a half-second animation with the stun, but Tiamat can break that.
Jetbacks. Oh, challenge time. Someday could be in a bit of trouble slicing and dicing away. Can Hojin get there in time with the cocoon? Smeb's going to go ahead and flash to Chase, going under the turret. He gets a heal. Someday gets taken down, and it looks like Smeb's going to make it out.
Well, coming in, that was another time where Smeb saw the opening, turned around to stun on to Someday when he tried to come in. Smeb started playing that little interaction poorly, but here we go on the bottom side.
Whoa, nice ult from Score. Prey nearly taken down immediately. Pickaboo helps Score pick that one up, and Gorilla has a flash, gets stunned, goes down. There's a kill for Arrow.
And that's catastrophic, because they did a double teleport cancel there.
Yeah.
Both Kuro and Smeb were channeling the teleports, and neither of them decided to complete.
But they were on different minions, and what Arrow did was he managed to trap both teleport locations with Jinx at the same time. So kind of forcing the cancel a little bit right there, but a good gank turns it around. Hojin and Nagde mixing it up in the jungle.
And we've been really critical of the top lane matchup, Smeb and Someday, but we haven't been able to pay much attention to the bottom lane matchup. The Jinx has actually been winning that lane, and now is definitely winning that lane thanks to Score. Even though Caitlyn does have, in my opinion, an advantage over the Jinx, Shen is an incredibly lackluster support in the laning phase as far as being able to win, especially against a Braum. So I feel like Peekaboo and Arrow, as well as Outplaying, have been utilizing that supporting lane advantage to actually give Jinx the laning advantage against a Caitlyn, which is not what KOO would expect or what they wanted when they picked in with the Caitlyn.
Well, it's been interesting, and at the end of the day, so far, it's a 2,000 gold lead for KT Rolster.
I mean, they got the turret. They have a TP advantage. They will soon have a double TP advantage once Nagnes comes back up. So KT, this is their time to start making plays on the map, really aggressively going after this dragon if they can.
Yeah.
Push up that lane and start taking objectives while KOO is weak in terms of their globals.
Yeah, pushing up that bot lane as well. They've already got wards deep into the enemy jungle. And if you look at the mini-map right now, I feel like this is exactly the type of game that KT tries to play every game. Get those wards in there deep, get them in early, and then use that to set up dragons, use that to set up more plays. Like, this is all KT so far.
Because right after they killed that turret bottom lane, they got the wards for the dragon. They're always prepping their play. It's the mark of a good team.
Very true.
And now they have the teleport advantage. So what actually would be likely is a play top lane because they can still teleport down. They're actually not exposing themselves to a dragon here.
Oh, challenge issued to Someday. Teleport's coming in for KT, though. Smeb's going to have to give that one up. Teleport canceled by Nagne. There's one down.
They couldn't get Smeb to fully commit to that, which was smart of Smeb.
Yep.
Drop the ultimate, so it looks like he's going in. They force the TP in out. The Score wandering.
Score goes into the blue buff, uses his ult, pushes Hojin back towards him, somehow stays alive for the moment, but Kuro comes in for the kill. Blue buff got quite the show there.
Yeah, they didn't actually have Arrow in the right position to make that invade at the time. If they had waited just a little bit longer, but Arrow's still going to get the turret. So all in all, a preferable trade for KT, but not without a price.
Yeah, because we have to remember KT had a numbers advantage up in that lane.
Yep.
Prey was down bottom trying to push the turret, so as long as they grouped appropriately, they would have had the brute force to get the deep wards they so desire. It was actually a very good play by KOO to catch Score while Arrow was up top trying to push down the turret.
Yeah, and Hojin has opted to try and get that sheen this game and go into Runeglaive. So there is a ton of single target damage on the KOO Tigers. If you get caught out like that, they can blow you up nearly immediately. Of course, with champions like Caitlyn, that high single target damage, Fiora, and Veigar.
The question is, while you're focusing that single target, you know, what are the other two carries going to be doing to you? I mean, they've got Renekton and a LeBlanc in this game, so it's not like other comps that you've seen where it's just about the Jinx damage. KOO has a lot to worry about.
Yeah, they do, and Someday really going for a high damage build here, going Phage out of Tiamat. So not going to be very tanky when it comes to dealing with a lot of this burst, looking for that split push. First dragon of the game, going to go over to KT Rolster.
Yep, taking that without any issue at all. There it goes.
So
KOO got the first one in game one. KT takes it in game two.
And this, I think, was the expected result with the teleport advantage and the play they made top lane. If KOO wanted to respond to the dragon play, then KT would then be able to rotate very quickly down bottom. But again, a single target pick in the jungle.
Peekaboo needs to be careful here. Uses that ult, actually gets a knockup on the Gorilla, but Hojin just repels away. I don't know about that ult. What do you think?
No, I think it's actually quite good because it's zoned them out of that jungle, which is allowing Arrow to push forward in this bottom side. They get the deep wards in as well. So they're going to get a little damage from it, but it protects Arrow, prevents any kind of engage, and continues to allow KT to get the deep wards in the bottom jungle.
Very true. Nagne doing a bit to Kuro again, able to blink back over the wall with that distortion.
It really is all about the deep wards that they're setting up.
Yeah, it's very classic KT Rolster play here in game two.
The desk has talked a lot about it, but 4.3 wards per minute for this KT team. We do see the sweeper once again early on to Nagne.
Interesting.
Same thing last game. He did it about half the time in the group stages as well, where he does early sweeper, but then he will upgrade to a warding trinket. The interesting thing this game will be, since they already have so much map priority, if he's even going to bother going back and getting the upgraded warding trinket.
And that tier 2 in bottom is nearly ready to fall, already down to about a fourth of its health left. And KT has a lot of time before the next dragon to just simply put pressure on these lanes.
And Prey, you know, it's Caitlyn, one of these champions that has a relatively lackluster mid-game, really needs 3 to 4 items to be successful, so you have to wait quite a long time to get her relevant.
Especially if you get an Avarice Blade.
Yeah. I mean, it's no damage here, and no damage coming anytime soon, really, for Prey. He's done a good job of keeping up in CS, and Score has been standing in a ward for a real long time now.
Yeah, that's good for KOO, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Being
Well, if
able
they
to
can do
keep
anything
the
about
rocks
it.
off the map.
Score is the ultimate ward defender here.
Cool guys stand in enemy teams' wards.
Both junglers are in wards right now. So.
I rest my case.
The ultimate Korean jungler battle.
Here we go.
Gorilla tries to flash head for the stun onto Arrow, or the taunt rather, doesn't work out. He's going to use that exhaust. Summoner heal just to give the speed boost for Arrow and Peekaboo to make it out.
Yeah, that's pretty massive right there. They burned double TP again for nothing. That's the second time KOO has done that. And you really need to use your double TP to get back in the game in these situations.
And this is the situation that we talked about in the about this point last game.
Oh, Gorilla, got to be careful there.
So last game what happened was we saw the TPs used and we saw the 5-man groups and they were able to force fight and get kills. Now the adaptation here, and what I said is the kind of dark side of that play is now we see a lot of minions being lost on the top side, mid lane turret goes down. So KT has adapted. Last game they were taking those fights when the TPs came in, when the groups came in. This time, no. They burned Flash, they burned Rommel just to get, or Exhaust rather, just to get out of that situation. And instead of taking those fights, they say, we're backing off, we're just gonna play the map against you. So KT now has a lead at this point in the game, whereas they had a deficit before. So KOO has to come up with something else now.
Yeah, I also think the way they achieve that reward is more important. So KT this time has the vision generally of the approaching play instead of KOO having the vision of KT. KT has done a good job denying the vision and keeping the deep wards up, which makes it easier to make the appropriate choice, which they have adapted to do well.
Well, KT pushed out for the moment anyway. He's going to need a lot more than that. Already 4,000 gold down. That's a massive deficit for them at this point in the game.
Well, especially considering that KOO came into this match tonight with an average 5,772 gold lead at the 20-minute mark.
That's incredible.
So absolutely enormous. Certainly it was helped by the CLG games where they were sometimes up 7, 8, 9,000 gold.
They averaged a 9,000 gold lead against CLG at 20 minutes.
That is not much of a challenge, is it? Well, KT going for that tier 2. It's nearly dead. We'll probably get it pretty soon. Smeb making trouble for Peekaboo here. They're going to go in. Very tentative from both sides.
Everywhere KT goes, they can match with teleports. So this is exactly how KT wants to play the 15 to 30 minute mark right here. They're farming 3 waves with the protection of their teleports. This entire window, after KOO made the failed double teleport play by both pressing the teleport key at the same time and not getting kills, puts them in a hole for the duration of that 5-minute teleport cooldown. They need to instantly kill someone on KT in order to make a proper play. Otherwise, the teleports will come in and stop the play dead in its tracks.
Nice. Speaking of stopping things dead in their tracks, Peekaboo getting in front of that. He's in the hole from Prey. Not bad at all.
No red buff here will be taken away and put onto Nagne, actually.
Hey, what LeBlanc doesn't want a red buff, right?
Let's get some more damage in there. Just weave an auto attack into your combo.
If you're taking TP instead of Ignite, you might as well get the red buff, right?
It's a baby Ignite. It's do true damage. Like Ignite over time.
Yeah. See?
On auto attacks. And
there you go.
There was once a time in League of Legends where that applied on spells for like a patch. Then they realized Then they realized Ryze's Q was a little bit too good with red buff.
I would say so. I enjoyed playing Annie during that time too. Dragon is up. And we will see if KT can claim it. They've certainly got the map positioning to go back and take that one fairly easily. Someday just pushing up the top lane. Got his teleport. In fact, the TP advantage for KT, and they're going to use it to go after that dragon very safely.
Incredibly safe. There is no chance of a steal.
Yep. That's right. This wasn't Dragon Funland after all. No. KT 2-0 up in Dragons. And KOO Tigers just kind of scrambling for some semblance of control, anything they can do to just stay alive in this game. Now, I suppose in theory they could still find a miracle team fight, but again, you know, that's not a situation you really want to find yourself in.
Yeah, specifically because KT Rolster has a stronger front line and very good catch potential this game as well. Obviously, KOO can get a good event horizon down if they can somehow catch Nagne very quickly, especially with Peekaboo being on Braum and not being near a McHale's or having any cleanses on KT. It's kind of on Hojin or Kuro to make that happen, but it's very unlikely with the ward coverage that KT has and also the way they're splitting the map into 3 different lanes.
Yeah.
This is pretty much going to script. We talked about it, 15-30. KT, #1 in terms of CS during that period. And KOO falling behind in that regard, but having a lot more kills. But KT, they just refuse to fight. They have long games, but they're happy because what happens, this style from KT, yes, it results in longer games, but it's so controlled. Just retreat, keep the map pressure up, slowly deny minion waves to your opponents, take these dragons, get the deep wards in, and just never give your opponent an opening. And when they make those mistakes with those global spells like teleport, just punish them for it.
Yeah, very true. And we talked about this coming into the match today as well. KT has a 9-minute longer average game time at Worlds than the KOO Tigers do right now. KOO Tigers have really relied in that group they were in on getting a lead early, snowballing it like crazy, and finishing fast. And against KT, clearly that is not something you can do. Someday, taking some damage from Smeb, though, he's going to have to slice and dice his way out of there, where he gets sliced and diced even more. There's a lot of slicing and dicing going on there.
Yeah, Sunday's gone for an incredibly aggressive Renekton build and opted against building any armor items, which is a little surprising. Although I do like heavy AD Renekton builds, he actually has some of the most aggressive AD ratios on his spells. So as far as which champions you would want to build AD on, Renekton is one of them. He gets a lot of natural health from his ultimate, especially once he hits level 16 as well. But I want Ninja Tabi or just a Warden's Mail somewhere in that build because I think as soon as he builds that item, he just wins straight up against Smeb.
Oh, KOO pushing right up the mid lane. Can they actually take a turret here? They've got pressure
they
on
stunned
bottom
him.
lane too. Wow, Nagne did get stunned. They take him out. Hojin with a kill there. Nice pick by KOO, and that's exactly what they were looking for. Challenge issued. Smeb taking turret hits. He's okay for the moment, though. Someday in a bit of trouble. Getting lower, goes down, and that heal combined with the ult from Shen keeps him alive. KOO suddenly finding an opening.
That was absolutely huge. They cut the gold deficit by about half by that. It's going to go down even further as Smeb takes a turret, so KOO roaring right back into this game.
I guess, man.
I mean, I'm not really seeing this Fiora Renekton matchup at the current time because at these 2 items, it's really hurting Renekton to be in these dueling situations. It's too easy for Smeb to block the stun now.
Yep, I think Someday needs armor. He can't win that duel elsewhere. And this was a mistake by Nagne. Obviously, with the Veigar, we talk about how strong he is as C's potential. This is exactly why. If Nagne wants to clear the wave, he has to walk into Event Horizon range or just give up a turret. He ends up losing both. So really, KOO losing the split push war that they had been winning this entire time because KOO kind of smartens up and just sets up a siege.
Yeah, they start to group up, and then not only that, Gorilla rather on point to get into that bottom lane to make a play and a dive with Smeb at the same time, so they're able to crack 2 of the outer turrets. KT had held on to all of them before that single play. And KOO getting right back into it.
Yeah, and one wonders what else KOO has planned here as they push up the mid lane.
I think as far as plans go, this is 100% of their plan. They should continue to push up mid lane as much as possible and at least match a split push. They don't need Smeb in the same lane as Someday, even though that's nice. But as long as they can trade turrets in a split push, they're keeping the gold close and maintain a presence mid lane. They no longer have teleport disadvantages, so they can set up a decently safe siege.
But they're going to get that top lane turret pretty easily. Smeb tearing it apart right now. Looks like they'll trade the top lane tier 1 for the bottom lane tier 2. And you know, that's not ideal, but it's better than nothing. Wow, Smeb actually hasn't killed that. He hasn't done any damage to that turret yet. Someday, what are you doing?
He's trying to get out of this situation. He knows he's getting collapsed on, so it's still a dicey maneuver, and there's the dicey maneuver right out of Hojin's way. Very well played there by Someday escaping what could have been a very deadly situation.
3 people collapsed on him, and he made it out completely cleanly. That's so impressive by Someday right there.
Yeah, Shen is like, wow, I need to get sneaking lessons from that giant space crocodile.
A better ninja than Shen.
Literally anything.
Yeah. That box that like Solid Snake walks around under in Metal Gear, that's a better representation of a ninja than Shen, I
Yes,
think.
it is. Absolutely.
Yeah. What's in the box? Oh, nothing. Just a box. Shen's like, oh, that guy's so good.
Why didn't I think of that?
I was too busy making loud noises and appearing on the other side of the map.
It's like, oh, here I come! Shen. Supposed to be subtle. Nothing subtle about KOO's comeback, though. The lane's starting to push a little bit more for KT, but KOO has made it a game.
Yeah. The possibility, though, of KT really stacking up these dragons is becoming quite troublesome.
Yeah.
Nagne's going to take a free bullet.
It's not a ton of damage.
I think that's KT's next step. Set up the dragon as cleanly as possible, make Curl burn Event Horizon, and then find your fight after that moment. A lot of that will have to do on Nagne's flanks.
Yeah.
Who's going to go a little early?
KT wants to take this one. KOO doesn't want to let them. Prey doing a bit of damage to the dragon. Who's going to get it? Red team takes it, went over to score. Smited it just in time, and that's going to be 3-0 in dragons for KT. KOO thinking back to game one, saying, wait, this is our moment. Come on, third dragon, guys.
Hojin smited at 970 right there before Score was even comboing abilities, so a really easy smite there for Score to finish. But with Someday trying to split push bottom, it's the setup siege again in the mid lane. Event Horizon equals turret.
Yeah.
And Someday actually peeled off right there, got cold feet. Of course, it would have been difficult for him on his own to try and take that inhibitor turret. But he did make the move, did push the minion wave, and they ended up. KT doesn't have a lot of tools to safely clear that minion wave as long as the Event Horizon is there. So KOO playing this Veigar significantly better than they did the last time, but the problem remains. 2 dragons for KT, and they'll get it before 40 minutes. That 5th dragon buff is very scary. And KOO, if they don't have the opportunity to get vision first on the dragon, they cannot engage really with their composition.
Yeah, that's the big threat, isn't it? Then you have to think about what Nagne's really going to start doing in team fights. You get that 5th dragon stack, and suddenly you're going to be just evaporating people like Kuro if you can get close enough. If you can get that flank.
But you also have to remember the late game Veigar, once he gets Void Staff, is going to be near 1,000 ability power. Nagne has built pretty heavy magic resist with Mercury Treads and Abyssal Scepter, but we've even seen Nagne's experienced it. Veigar is just pressing one button and instantly killing him in the late game.
Yeah, and that's when he had Merc Treads, Abyssal Scepter, and a Rylai's. So even more tankiness than he has right now.
Yeah. They're using Kuro to push up that bot lane for the moment anyway. And it seems like for now, it's really a lot about Baron too. Can KT maybe find an opportunity to start baiting it, start pulling people away, and help Someday get a little bit more split pushing pressure with that Baron threat?
Well, they really want to force a face check here because KOO's engaged crowd control is so poor. And KOO's way of winning a lot of these team fights is going to be through picks or through kiting. So as long as they can control the river, as we reach the end game,
Oh.
Definitely a duel going on at the top side right now.
Yeah, Someday on the run. Here comes Hojin. Someday could be in a bit of trouble here. A lot of KOO members collapsing. There's the flash. Someday still trying to get away. Could get to the mid lane. Gorilla over the wall with the taunt. Someday slices and dices his way out. Caitlyn comes in with a bit of damage. Oh, they got it with the Event Horizon. Will that be enough damage? Gorilla gets taken up by Nagne, though. There goes the support on the other side. And Smeb, a little bit of health left. He's got enough. Another nice stun with that Event Horizon. Score manages to body slam his way to freedom. Here comes Nagne trying to find a target. Takes a lot of damage in response. Nice flash from Prey with the headshot. And KOO comes out of that fight on top.
Really, chaos ensued once Smeb chased Someday. Someday's really, really good at getting away from stuff, but KT did overcommit when trying to protect their Renekton. He burned far too many spells in retreat, which then gave an advantageous fight for KOO, and specifically the fact that KOO didn't have to deal with frontline allowed them to just chase with their CC. Now it's all about this Baron, and whether or not Score could miraculously get a smite.
Needs to
Arrows
be
here as well.
Oh, but there's the Event Horizon. Score.
Still body slam in.
It was a bit early. Got such low health, though. Arrow tried to come in. No, they can't quite get it. Baron goes down, and so does Nagne. KOO taking that Baron, and suddenly everything going the KOO Tigers way, but only for the moment. They've got low health. Peekaboo trying to slow people up, and it looks like they'll be able to escape the Baron Pit anyway.
Yeah, that was such a good call from KOO. They knew the TPs were down, as well as the death timers on the mid and top lane. Nagne had no chance because he tried to TP into that last fight. If they had just let Someday to die or tried to disengage with the Braum ultimate, it could have been very different, not burn that TP. They decided to go in, follow that up, but KOO had been chasing Someday around for too long, and KT really overcommitted when KOO could just kite very efficiently.
I also think after the fight, an incredibly risky Baron call. Jinx over the wall with Jinx rockets, as well as an attempted smite steal where, by the way, neither smite was actually used. So if either one of those guys would have gotten close to smite, it could very easily have been a Baron steal. The score got into the pit.
Funny thing is Jinx rocket wasn't used either.
Yeah. Was the
Weirdly
ultimate
enough.
up
I
during
think it was
that?
down.
Yeah.
I think it, oh, okay, it was down at the time. That could be it. All right, nice flash taunt onto Someday there from Gorilla.
Yeah, but the thing is, he had to use Dominus before this fight. Someday never does damage here, and the LeBlanc arrives when the other solo laner is already dead. Trading a top laner for a support automatically puts KOO at the advantage. Not to mention, they got to fight on top of that healing spring from Smeb, and really Nagne can never get the proper flank position in this battle.
This is the real mistake, though. Nagne has no reason to go in for a LeBlanc combo right there. The AD carry in jungle had already successfully disengaged, and Nagne getting chunked and dying on the flank is what caused that Baron to go down. So team fighting error there from Nagne.
Kuro hitting things so well with that Event Horizon.
Looking much better this game than last game.
And with the Baron buff, this composition hits its sweet spot, because specifically with the Caitlyn, the 3-item Caitlyn right here, the Event Horizon plus the Caitlyn range can take down almost any turret.
Oh, here we go again. Smeb onto Someday, issuing the grand challenge, and Someday can't even survive it through the ultimate. Oh yeah, Smeb 6-2-2 all over that top lane.
I know this may look like Fiora is just a way better champion than the Renekton in a split push, but this is a Magic resist stacking Renekton trying to deal with the split push from Fiora. I do not know what Someday is doing with that build, and it is consistently punishing KT.
He's trying to survive Kuro, but that's not the person he's been fighting against.
I mean, but by not building armor, the other problem is that Prey has not had to build a Last Whisper this game either, so it's making it very easy for Prey to output damage and get tanky with that Bloodthirster.
Someday had 87 armor during that death, 33 minutes into the game. But
No
KOO,
wonder it was
they
bad.
have the Veigar anyway, so they are pushing so strong here.
Yeah, using that Baron buff to push through the bottom inhibitor, going all the way to a bit of damage on the Nexus turret. Someday, he's teleporting down. They're going to try to flank this. KOO could be in trouble. Nice taunt from Gorilla, catching Someday immediately after he comes to the teleport. Score uses his ultimate, but he can't save his top laner. Smeb is godlike with a kill there. Nagne comes in, nearly takes out Prey, but it's not enough. Oh, Nagne lives with like 0 health left. 42 remaining after that ace in the hole.
Jinx coming in on the bottom side right, or top side rather. Smeb going hunting for Score, but the only one there. Score trying to a little bit of extra tank
boy.
this, but
He's in trouble. Smeb's like 4 score, and 7 kills ago, I took out a Gragas in the mid lane. Meanwhile, Dragon taken by KOO as well. Looks like Score lives anyway.
very close. They had to burn the exhaust. Enough slows used, though, to keep Score alive. Only Someday going down. They thought they might be able to catch them coming out, but Someday just getting blown up immediately. He just doesn't have that tankiness yet.
Yep.
Smeb has been so good at proccing all 4 vitals. I don't think I've ever seen the heal from Fiora happen as many times in a game as I've seen right here. Very consistently setting up winning situations for his team by chasing people down like that.
Yep, that big heal has been helping quite a bit. Look at this, Gorilla just immediately with the taunt onto Someday.
That's a great opening right there. Of course, they get him down to 50% HP, and now he's going to go. Gets hit by the Veigar ult.
Yep.
And they're just easily going down. Rocket not going to do a whole lot. Nagne coming in, nearly one-shots Prey, but can't finish it off. Prey then responds.
Oh, so close.
The ace in the hole, not
40.
quite enough.
40 HP after that one.
Yeah, now it'll kill. It's a last whisper onto Prey, so much more damage. Caitlyn's hit that 4-item point of being really, really good in the late game. 1 inhibitor down. They no longer have the Baron main, so it'll be a little bit harder for them to set up sieges.
And crucially, they got a dragon during that conflict as well, just picking it up at the end, preventing KT from being on the cusp of number 5.
It makes that 5th dragon a long way away for KT Rolster now, and if you look at the gold lead that KOO has, they've gone from about 4K down this game to now being about 5K up. What a swing.
Well, this looks more like the KOO we were used to in Korea.
Yes,
you know?
yes it does.
Losing in the early game, scrapping it out, somehow getting their strategy together and just running wild in the mid game to take that gold lead and take a win.
Yeah. Trying to take out that mid inhibitor turret now. They're going to rotate up to top. KOO certainly looking like they're going to take this game. We'll see if KT can stop them.
No.
Doesn't look likely, does it? Jet's just like, no.
The 4-1 they set up was so good, specifically because Smeb is just ignoring the Renekton, and even if LeBlanc rotates over for a quick burst, he's even been able to save his riposte, so he can't get burst by Nagne either. Just KOO really, really pretty with the way they're moving between lanes.
That Event Horizon too. Although I suppose with Santa Vega it's more like Present Horizon. It works. Someday, try to get inside. Yeah.
Trying to get some damage down. Event Horizon used just to deny the flank.
They'll get that inhibitor before too long.
KT should just make a play right now.
Yeah, well, they need to do
Now
something.
they should make a play. The Event Horizon's down.
Yeah.
Well, we got excited for nothing.
Just go for
Oh.
it. Just get him.
Well, they're going to lose their inhibitor. How about that?
Praise, stop moving. Just get him.
Just kill the inhibitor. They're just playing with them now. There we go. Taking out Peekaboo. Takes a big chunk of life loss as well. And KOO Tigers just going to casually walk away.
Yep.
I think KT had to pull the trigger there if they wanted to get back into this game at
Whoa.
all. They're going to lose a Nexus turret
Whoops.
at the same time as KT has gotten a bunch of people together in the mid lane just to push out the mid wave. Dragon up at 10, or Baron rather.
Yeah, 2 inhibitors down with only 1 Nexus turret means the Baron would basically only be a chance at a steal.
Probably, and KOO's just going to not waste any time going for this one. KT, they're right there though. Nagne has his teleport. He could join and he will. Are they going to be able to get this one? Yeah, KOO gets the Baron, but will they win the fight? Peekaboo takes a bit of damage early on. Gorilla looks a little bit low as well. They're going to take him down. Goodbye, Peekaboo. Nagne over the wall doing absolutely nothing. KOO just all over KT right now. Nagne has to run ace in the hole, blocked by Arrow. Takes half his health doing it though. And Smeb is getting closer. KT just barely keeping 3 people alive during that fight, but KOO looking pretty fine. There we go. Teleport coming in. And Kuro, he's got the home guards. Vega flashing over the wall. Event Horizon. Arrow cleanses through it though, makes it out. That is the most terrifying thing I've ever seen. Nobody wants to see Vega run at them like that.
Didn't even get the kill, but I feel like KOO will probably get the game. They kill the inhibitor, the instant respawns back up. They have everyone but their support.
Yeah.
Still a decent defending crew there by KT Rolster, though.
It's not bad. Nagne, Arrow, and Someday left to defend this last Nexus turret and the Nexus. Not doing as much damage as you'd expect, I suppose, but it's enough to scare KOO away. You know, why take that chance? Why take that 80% chance to win right now when you can have a 100% chance in a minute or 2?
Yeah, and they did just burn 2 flashes, not to get the kill on the Arrow, so there is a little trepidation about trying to finish that game, especially when KT's topped up and score is respawning. I think this
Makes sense.
Definitely the right call for KOO. They still got some time left on that Baron to make the final push.
Yeah.
Even so, I'm really loving this series so far. KT,
So good.
back and forth games with KOO the first 2 times here. KOO had an early game advantage with Veigar, and they didn't necessarily correctly avoid the team fights and play around the Dragons properly. This time, KOO actually had to play from behind, but instead did use the Veigar properly. Much better use of Event Horizon from Kuro this game. They worked around the vision control of KT and found their moments in a very creative fashion. And it's really good to see 2 good teams go back and forth against each other.
Well, we were all wondering too, you know, how close was this really going to be after that last series in Korea about a month or 2 ago, and man, they have not missed a beat as far as how close these teams are to each other skill-wise. I still think we can definitely see a Game 5 in this series. KOO looking like they want to tie things up here in Game 2 though. There goes the last inhibitor turret on the map for KT Rolster, and KOO looking to try to end it. Ace in the hole used, blocked by Peekaboo. But here comes the KOO Tigers. KT, the last defense is right here, right now.
KOO's going to wait for 3 waves of Baron and
There
Battle
we
Super
go.
Minions.
Yeah, why not, man? Get the Winions on board as well, too. Arrow takes a ton of damage from Kuro. And there we go, Grand Challenge issued yet again. Peekaboo the target, Nagne gonna back out of the fight, got exhausted, couldn't really do anything. Double kill comes in for Kuro. They're gonna tear apart KT, and KOO Tigers tearing apart the Nexus as well. Game 2 goes to KOO Tigers.
This has been a really interesting series so far, and I'm really happy to see Kuro play that Veigar much better in this game than in game one, because they came back in, played the Veigar again, and if they had lost and that Kalista already locked in.
Maybe mocking Prey, known as one of Korea's worst Brave players as well. Could be either one. Oh, and are we going to see that Malphite? Man, quite the wombo combo if Malphite goes in and then you've got the Wild Growth after that. Could be pretty scary for a champion that's not too mobile like Ashe.
It'd also be scary for KT for the intense lack of damage they will have if they go with this team composition.
Yes.
But they would definitely have a lot of crowd control and tankiness.
Alistar.
Whoa.
And is it going to be Malphite? It looks like it is. Wow, that is a lot of engage. And this kind of reminds me of like the end of spring season KT, where they hadn't picked up Peekaboo yet. They didn't really kind of know what they needed to do to win. So they just started picking a lot of really heavy engage comps. And to be fair, it worked for them rather well.
Yeah, it's still very troubling if they get into the late game, however, because they really will be lacking in damage compared to the KOO Tigers. And
no,
no,
not the Cassidy, no. Okay, there we go. Now Kuro.
Kuro's Victor makes perfect sense into this KT team, which is very tanky and frontline based. Victor is spectacular against these if he can avoid the initial initiation, because he can then throw down Gravity Field, get the move speed from his Q, laser through, and basically kill everyone. KT really needs to win this game quite early on, I feel like. But then at the same time, they have so much tankiness, they can invalidate the Fiora in the late game. Maybe that's their strategy against Fiora as well. It is definitely a different team composition from KT than we were expecting.
Yeah, and this one just screams out more 5v5 play in the mid game before a lot of the items start coming into play, and they can rely more on their base damages here to be successful. So KT, they're gonna have to take these fights early, which is something that they haven't really been doing. They've been very elusive, you know, between 15 and 30 minutes, but they really have to commit this time. And Victor for Kuro, he is 17-4 all time on this champion. It's a hugely successful pick for the KOO Tigers and something that is always a danger.
And he was like the first Korean player to really bring Victor into that scene as well, even way before it was common in the meta. Kuro was playing that Victor and he was getting wins on it too.
Yeah, I loved watching Kuro's Victor because Victor's always been a favorite champion of mine. So to see him bring into competitive play was part great and part awful because of the nerfs.
It is a cool champ. Well, guys, keep updating your votes on Twitter with that hashtag KTWin or hashtag KOOWin at LOL Esports. Keep letting us know who you think is going to take this series. We are all tied up right now as we get on to Summoner's Rift for game number 3 between KT Rolster and the KOO Tigers. You know, maybe some people here don't know this, but Rolster is actually a combination of roller and coaster. I'm not making this up. They like to combine words like that in Korea.
Yeah, just one syllable jammed right onto another.
Yep. Like CJ Entus. Entus is a combination of entertain and us. For whatever reason. It just is. Don't argue with it.
Today I learned.
Well, here we are.
I'm going to start combining words now and making fake team names.
Oh, yeah? Like what?
I'm not that quick. I'm going to do it later.
Oh, okay. All right.
Give me some time.
We'll wait for this. I'll come back to you in game 4.
All right. The timer's on.
And KOO Tigers pushing back, score a little bit early on.
Yeah, more aggressive play here from KOO. Over the course of the quarterfinals, we've seen less willingness to invade for some of these deeper wards. Gorilla out on his own over there, but
Shen's been spotted, but what else is new, really?
here we are again.
Yep.
Another obvious Shen game.
Run and Shen. Oh, never mind. It's just Shen. Well, some deep wards being thrown down by KOO at this point. KT getting 1 in the enemy jungle. But so far, a pretty passive early game, isn't it?
Yeah,
Passive
especially.
multiple.
And these teams have also kind of gone away from lane swapping. They were so forced into it, I feel like, from the group stages. And then as soon as they're playing each other, they just go straight back to LCK style. Like, especially during the LCK regular season, they were almost never doing the early turret killing and swapping. And all these other teams were just like forcing them into playing the same game.
Yeah.
But now they're just like, you know what, we don't have to do it if the other guys aren't.
It's interesting to see because, yeah, like you said, I mean, I feel like I'm right back at the OGN studio right now, man, casting some LCK. KOO Tigers, though, didn't have that flare back in summer season. But hopefully we do in spring season. Hint, hint, Riot, hint, hint. Pretty pleased.
I never want that to leave the game.
Yeah, it's awesome. I love it. That's
It's too entertaining.
It really is.
Nice harass by KOO down on the bottom side there as well. They did manage to get the small Krug, but I think KOO denied KT off of a few early minions.
Oh, taunt onto Peekaboo. He's going to take a lot of damage early on, and Prey actually able to escape quite a bit. Gorilla getting poked on his way out, but things are not too bad.
Yeah, Peekaboo opting for the pulverized right at first, but be able to sustain that pretty nicely. And Nagde and Kuro just standing right next to each other.
I guess so. Man, this bot lane has been aggressive for both sides.
Finding some opportunities. I mean, heavy trading really across the map, only top side. Taking it easy, chilling out right now.
Yep.
The Smeb Someday matchup has been so fascinating because they are kind of the two carry top laners we were expecting coming from Korea before Marin decided to outclass all of them in the group stage. But this one in particular, Smeb going back to the Fiora well again and again, and before the Fiora rework, Malphite would have been a counterpick for that. But now it's so easy for Fiora to repost those spells that it's actually a Fiora-favored lane before the team fight phase.
It's an interesting invade very early on here from Hojin. They're going to collapse. They have pressure in mid and bottom, so nice red steal here from the KOO Tigers.
Yeah, and if they're able to get this from Score, if Score can't steal it away, they'll be probably able to triple buff it. Nope, Score smoked a little bit early. And so the KOO Tigers, once they claimed that blue back on their side of the map, should have succeeded in triple buffing KT.
That was a really clever use of lane pressure there, too, and knowledge of where exactly Score would be pathing to make it out very quickly over to the enemy red buff and go ahead and steal it away. So denying some of Score's early pressure. Nice job there by Hojin, really communicating well with his team.
Yeah, and we also have to note that Someday was given the blue buff by the Rek'Sai early on in the laning phase during the double jungle phase. It's pretty common that that happens with the Rek'Sai and the Malphite, and it will allow him to harass Smeb very heavily in the early laning phase. Normally, Malphite is gated by mana as far as using his Q aggressively. Not this time, though. It's why it's done.
And one of those things about Malphite, and it's funny to see KT using the Malphite because KOO was the one to bring the Malphite back into the meta, right?
Right.
Everybody kind of went after it after they saw it work against Najin, though.
Yeah, and it's true, but it was you really have to credit Smeb and the rest of KOO for setting that up and showing how it could be used. And one of those factors is really that the passive for Malphite, it gives him basically a free armor death tap. It's 30% additional armor passively, so when it comes to just getting over that early hump with the blue buff, and then laning against the Fiora, or actually just surviving against these high damage top laners, AD top laners later on, you really do have such a power in terms of survivability.
Armor death cap, huh?
That's pretty much what it is.
I think I saw one of those at the Tower of London, but I might be mistaken. A lot of stuff like that there.
Did you try it on?
No, behind glass. Probably would have killed me.
I never understood why somebody would want to put something on their head called a death cap.
I don't know. It doesn't sound good. Oh, I mean, you got the sorting hat in Harry Potter. That sounds friendly. Sorting hat.
Yeah.
People like organization.
The death cap just sorts you right into the afterlife.
Yeah. I wouldn't want to wear that. No hats for me.
That's why we're support players.
Exactly.
Very rarely can you
Never
wear the death cap.
I mean, I will probably more often than other support players, but that's just a personal thing. Come on, Glitter Lance. Glitter Lance. Oh. Not going to stop the recall. Meanwhile, a lot of pressure on this bot lane from Praying Gorilla.
Yeah, and it's been strong lane pressure from the KOO Tigers. And this is actually something Yamato brought up on the desk. He wanted to see a more consistent jungle path from Hojin. Even though he took a big risk early with the invade, he has been in a much more farm-centric style and not really exposing himself for ganks. It's giving a more leveled early game for KOO here, and they haven't had the risk of falling behind necessarily.
Hojin opting for the Amp Tome early, though, so more damage-oriented build. Score once again fast on the Sightstone, and he's going to take that opportunity to go ahead and plow through the bottom side jungle, get a bunch of wards up.
Really fast on the Sightstone. That's a it's like a 6-minute Sightstone.
Yep.
His average is 11, which is faster than Hojin, who is sitting at 13:38, who's actually one of the slowest. This is exceptionally quick.
I feel like they saw the power that getting that early vision in the jungle had in the early stages of late game, and even though they lost that game, they really were in control for a long time.
Well, Someday's just been left on his own in the top side now. He's just going to try and farm underneath his turret. He is level 6, so he has some ways to get out of any ganks that come through. And there are tons of Sentinels patrolling the bottom side jungle here, deep wards in from that Sightstone, so they want to push forward with his Callista and in the mid lane, try and start playing a little bit more aggressively while Sunday just very passively scales in the top side.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, as far
top
as,
lane, I feel like I'm watching Mundo versus Mundo here. Come on.
well, as far as
Come on, guys.
CS deficits go, this is totally acceptable for the Malphite. Malphite's the type of champion that can
yeah.
be down 60 CS in lane, and because of his armor multiplier on his passes, still be completely fine.
Well, he's kind of an ult bot too. You know, you need him to show up in team fights and knock a bunch of people into the air. And if he can do that, it doesn't really matter too much if he dies immediately after that. Nagne pushing up the lane, but still going to be very even between Kuro and Nagne. Question is, when is the action going to begin?
Well, if you're KT, you're probably hoping it's going to start beginning sometime relatively soon, because it is a lot about their ability to make these plays and snowball, because they are going to have a gold advantage if they want to keep dealing damage in the late game.
I mean, some days level 6, you've got that ult, you've got the ult on Lulu as well too. You can start making those plays, can't you?
Yeah, somewhat. It's just as long as he's pushed under his turret by Smeb, he doesn't want to leave lane to go make a play, because that creates a jump of gold for KOO. KOO has typically been making the majority of their moves between the 10 and 15 minute mark. That's just a statistic, though. It doesn't mean they're going to be suddenly aggressive at 10 to 15 minutes. But generally, when KOO has been getting their ultimates, mainly on Prey for the AD carry, is when we'd expect to see the action. KOO has been more the team to take initiative in that phase of the game so far at World.
Didn't see a ton of hugely impactful
What is that thing
Ash
for?
arrows in the early part. I don't know. I was kind of wondering about that.
What a waste of 100 gold.
That's a weird pink word right there.
Pretty sure it is. One thing though we haven't really talked about is that even though KT may have some issues playing out the late game, does KOO really have an answer to getting onto Arrow? Because Arrow is the main damage source. He has to be shut down here. And it's kind of up to Victor to do that, but that is a little bit hard to get back to where Arrow is with the amount of peel that's on this team. And the fact that Victor and Ashe are going to be main targets for Alistar and Malphite. I mean, you have to think about it. They effectively have two Malphite ults with the Alistar-Malphite combination
Yeah.
to use onto the back line.
Oh, not to mention the wild growth as well. They have a lot of knockups. And Nagne doing a lot of damage to Kuro. There's a wild growth for the knockup. Can he actually take him out? Oh, wow, that stun probably saved Kuro's life. He had his flash, but he would have had to at least use that. And Hojin jumping on to score, doing a bit of damage before backing away.
Yeah, one combo gets him down to about 50%, so just taking that opportunity. But this is a great time as the blue buff is spawning.
Yep. Ray knocked up. Gorilla actually goes in for the taunt onto Arrow to try to prevent damage to his AD carry. A lot of damage done all around, but some potions should heal that right back up.
Yeah, that was actually a really smart timing for Score to go into the jungle, working with his laners to make the invade happen. Nagne pushed Kuro back to base, so even if Hojin is laying in wait, he can still get the deep wards. Yes, Score took about half his health bar in damage. Rek'Sai has nice sustain in the jungle, though. He wanted to refill the Sightstone anyway. He puts the wards down, goes back and refills the Sightstone. It's just an efficient, smart play there by KT.
Yeah.
It does make them a bit leery. They saw the blue buff there, but they didn't decide to attempt to steal.
There's a hawk shot. Gorilla goes for another taunt. And Prey scoping things out in the enemy jungle just to make sure no one's coming in. They do have Hojin coming down to help them out possibly.
Yeah, and even though we're saying KT has very low damage, if they can successfully protect Arrow, Lulu is the great enabler of all AD carries. It works a little bit better with things like Jinx and Kog'Maw because you're really increasing their mobility. Kalista is already exceedingly mobile, and the Lulu actually doesn't add too much to that. But what Lulu does add is survivability and damage to the Kalista, who's already an unstoppable force when chasing you.
Yeah.
So honestly, if Arrow can keep his farm up with Prey, he brought the cleanse. So the fact that he's staying even in lane is a bit of a testament to him here, because cleanse is not that strong of an early gaming summoner spell. I've seen Jugger Kalista work plenty of times.
Yeah, it's going to have to here. And again, what you're saying with that cleanse, there's a lot of single target CC on KOO, but the cleanse is going to be very useful for getting out of that situation, for continuing to output that damage. And even if he gets caught out by a taunt, by an arrow, by a cocoon, he's going to be able to at least survive the first round of crowd control. And it's going to be very difficult for KOO to land two of those abilities. You can't really bank on that. Like one, when you have three forms of like Lion, CC, kind of have that going for you. But getting another one will be quite difficult.
Oh, arrow comes through, connects with Nagne. Could be in trouble. Nice flash taunt from Gorilla. Nagne with the wild growth. Will he leave? No. First blood goes to Prey.
You know who doesn't have cleanse? Nagne. And it was a really nice CC chain there by Prey and Gorilla. Honestly, the accuracy on Prey's Ash, this is why KOO Tigers plays Ash more than any other team at Worlds, because they know exactly when to pressure. They catch KT in a lackadaisical state down bottom, are able to successfully roam through the entire river and make it through that brush, somehow undetected to get that move on Nagne. I'm going to go back and watch how they actually got into that brush.
Yeah, because there have been a lot of deep wards coming in, so KOO has been aware that the situation could occur, but there was a pink ward on that side of the river as it came in, so...
One does wonder.
In fact, Prey walked through the entire river undetected.
Wow.
Mainly, Score had the deep wards, but no wards in the river.
Problematic, especially, again, with that Kalista, who doesn't have great control over the minion wave of 4-2 items.
Yeah.
Here we go. Attempted a blue steal.
Yeah, and they're probably going to get it too, using that opportunity from the first kill on the Nagne to take that away. And KT favored by the fan vote right now, but KOO, I think, holding all the cards early on in game 3.
Still a very close game, but 13 minutes certainly having that advantage, and KT just hasn't been able to make any of the plays yet.
We've certainly seen in the series that early game leads are not everything.
Yeah, and I also don't think KT is necessarily ready to try and make a play yet. They have such low damage, and also the initial items aren't really huge damage items for them. They're going Athene's Unholy Grail on Nagne's Lulu. Someday still needs to build up his tank itemization. Really, when Nagne hits Death Cap, and when Arrow has his Hurricane as well as the Blade of the Ruined King, and maybe even a QSS on top of that to double with his cleanse, is when KT wants to fight. So really, I think KT wants to keep this game close until about 25 minutes, and even though they are a mid-game team, they need to wait until mid-game. They have a very precise power window where they spike super hard, and I think they're waiting for that moment.
Yeah, we talk about that Kalista 2-item power spike all the time, but the amount, if she has proper protection, which she absolutely does with this particular team composition, she will spike in terms of just getting AoE damage off with the Ruin's Hurricane in the team fight is absolutely massive.
Turret goes down, Gorilla comes over the wall, gets knocked up right after the taunt from Score. Ashero comes in, they layer the CC just a bit, but it seems like it could be enough. Peekaboo over the wall with the flash pulverizing. Get the knock-up on the Gorilla. Looks like Score's gonna make it out. Meanwhile, a big melee down in the river. There's a catch onto Someday. It's pretty tanky, but they might be able to take him out. KT definitely on the run though. Hawkshot reveals where KT is running to. And KOO Tigers may be content to just try to take Dragon off of this.
All 4 TPs used in that little skirmish there by the two teams. And KT just trying to desperately disengage, as we did see Score get a little bit caught out. Who comes away with the upper hand, and that'll net the first Dragon of the game.
Yeah, and it looks like they're going to rotate to get this turret as well. They chunk KT so low in this, and they know they expended the teleport, so there's no way for KT to actually make it back to the mid lane in time.
Wow. Mid lane turret taken out by KOO Tigers. Able to equalize there, and with that Dragon, able to pull a little bit of a gold lead. The only kill in the game is theirs as well.
And they've maintained that gold lead by trading the turret. They're just up a Dragon now, so KT hanging in there for the moment, but KOO definitely making the most of that little skirmish that, even though there weren't any kills, still able to find 2 objectives.
Yeah. I mean, it looks so awkward too, because KT kept trying to maybe go in and do damage, but there just wasn't any damage to be done. So they just sort of got poked up, poked out, and eventually ran away.
KT's not ready to do damage yet, and it's all on KOO to catch KT while warding. That's the windows they have. In order for KT to play their slow game and reach their power spikes, they need to have deep vision. So the weakest point in that case is the person getting deep vision, which is why they're continually trying to catch Score. In that case, they didn't get the kills, but they still got rewards afterwards, specifically while he was trying to ward deep.
And the response to the pick pressure from KOO when they go in for those wards, we saw how much Score was punished. Hojin is going for the Runeglaive again, so we're talking about very high damage here. Burst potential.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
I feel like about 80% plus of Elises here at Worlds have gone for Runeglaive. You can still build tankiness after the fact, and the clear speed as well as keeping your mana high on the Elise is just really heavily valued by these jumpers here.
Well, we've seen that in 2 games now from Hojin, and not only that, but he actually went for the Rylai's as a finisher item, so he was really concerned with how much damage he was going to deal in that last game.
True enough. Well, now that the Dragon is gone, just like we saw in a lot of other games between these two teams, a lot of teams in Korea will probably have a bit of time before anything really happens again. And what we really saw in Korea in the summer season is that it was a very Dragon-focused season, you know?
Yeah.
There was Dragon fights, and outside of that, there wasn't a whole lot of action.
This really feels like we've time traveled back
It does,
to the
doesn't
LCK playoffs.
Yeah.
Aside from a few different champion picks, because all these world meta things that have happened with the change in play styles and teams, you know, doing things outside of Dragon fights, all forgotten.
Yeah, Fiora is about it, really.
I don't know if that's quite fair. We had quite a lot of action at the top side in the last game and a bunch of...
Specifically this
Game.
Yeah, this game.
This game,
This
definitely.
game is definitely...
I agree. The last few games were very exciting and very different than some of the more slugfest games. And now, finally, some split push pressure. Initiated, honestly, by KT running up top lane with the Callista.
Yeah. KOO able to take that turret down in bot lane, though, evening that up.
You can see the gold focus, though, definitely going on to Arrow. They really need him to be farmed up here. And so just pushing ahead with him on that. And someday taking the hit for the team, knowing that he doesn't have to be that farmed up to be effective against the KOO composition. And so just safely farming at tier 2. And KOO's going to push in and again for another blue steal, but KT knows they're coming with those deep wards they managed to achieve.
Can they stop it, though? Again, they don't have a ton of damage yet.
They've hit a few decent
wanna
breakpoints, though. NLR on the Lulu and a Recurve plus
here we
working
go.
on Callista, so they're ready to fight.
Repel, they're going to go after Smeb now as Hojin backs into the river. Smeb forced to flash over the wall. Arrow comes down onto Peekaboo from Prey's Ash, but no follow-up there. Oh, never mind. Unstoppable for Sunday. Another nice knockup comes in, courtesy of Peekaboo, and KOO in a lot of trouble now. Prey will go down. A kill for Peekaboo. So bloodthirsty, and Smeb grabs one, or gets grabbed as well.
We mentioned they had 2 Malphite ultimates. Well, they actually have
guess so.
3, because Callista can throw the Alistair in for an AoE knockup before the Pulverize.
Hey, how about Wild Growth there for number 4?
4 Malphite ultimates. And when you can land the first one on 3 people, you're probably doing pretty well. What a nice initiation by Someday. Godlike, I would say.
That was the Wombo combo that they've been looking for. That is exactly what this team composition needs to do this
Holy
game.
moly.
Yeah, they did it, but they didn't get that much of a lead, right? So they're still only about a K up right now, but let's take a look. So this is not where you want the Arrow and Cocoon to go, and this is what causes them to engage. KOO knows that they need to get out, so there's the flash. 3-man right there. Here comes Arrow. Peekaboo from the side. Flash pull comes on in, and Prey caught right out in the front, has to flash over, still going to end up going down in this fight. And here's Arrow, very aggressively with the Wild Growth flashing over the wall.
Yeah, it looks like they gave Arrow the Wild Growth really early just to say, go get him, champ.
They just want to get him in
Don't
there,
worry about getting one shot.
You're tanky now, don't worry.
Yeah, I mean, that's KT flipping a switch and saying we are now strong enough. They didn't quite get to Death
Guess
Cap
so.
or Hurricane, but they had the core attack speed items. They also saw the window with KOO expending the Ash Arrow beforehand and saw that they had to funnel through a choke point. So really just biding their time 20 minutes in, taking a few hits early game, and then finding their window to pull themselves back.
You really cannot get yourself in those narrow choke points against the Malphites that we've seen in Korea. Otherwise, that is exactly what happens to you every time. Smeb doing a good job of taking some health off of Someday. Looks like he might be able to get this turret. Smeb wants a bit of revenge for that last team fight. He's going to pop the ultimate on the Someday score. Comes back through again. You have to flash if he wants to go over that wall.
Well, I got the turret in the end.
All right, it worked. Distract him so the Winions could do their job.
Tremendous amount of pressure, and that actually gives them the Dragon as well. I'm very surprised by KT to commit so heavily there when they knew they had some decent team fighting strength, especially since they couldn't save the turret.
Yep, two Tigers. One for that second Dragon, and they're going to pick it up pretty easily.
KOO's going to want to kill Peekaboo here.
Oh boy, Peekaboo, they're going to need to pull him out with that Fate's Call if he gets too much damage. There we go, Arrow gets hit by the Ash Arrow, backs away, Chaos Storm does a lot of damage, and Kuro with the kill there. And they're still going to keep pushing KT back. Too much damage coming in from that Victor, and Someday in a bit of trouble. No real way for him to escape here, except for that Whimsy from Lulu. I guess that's enough.
What is KT doing? I mean, no Malphite ults, coming back in on that. Very, very sloppy play from KT Rolster.
They waited so long and had that nice fight around their blue buff, and then to make such a foolish mistake right here, they'd already used teleport top lane. that is just pure greed, I feel like, from Peekaboo. And then trying to make up for a mistake. You know when you make one mistake and then you try and make an excuse and you start talking really fast and dropping all your words? That's basically the manifestation of what KT did at that Dragon fight, because everything went wrong for them and they gave up their lead.
I have no idea what that's like, by the way. Never happens to me.
It never happens.
For the record. Just want to put that out there. Let's watch this fight again. Peekaboo. It feels like they want to do something to stop the Dragon. There's just nothing to be done.
Well, you have to give it up at that point in time. Peekaboo burns his ultimate, but this is so smart. Just get onto Arrow immediately. Great shot from Prey onto the back line, and that's the burst. And once the Callista goes down, and Someday has no ultimate, there's not a lot of hope for this fight.
Yeah. They're tanky enough to get out of the fight, at least in the end, but still a big-time loss for KT. Kind of overestimating their position in the game, and KOO with the lead again now.
Such a back and forth series.
It really has been, yeah. It's been small mistakes on each side that have kind of tipped the scales back and forth in all 3 games so far.
And I think that's ultimately what a lot of Worlds is about. So much of Worlds is about the human element and these guys being able to perform under pressure, because these are moves that you wouldn't necessarily expect KT to make in normal circumstances, but they made it here at Worlds. Well, they thought they were trying to go for a 2-1.
Dive this.
They really want to take out KOO, but it's not working. Defensive arrow comes in from Prey.
It's a good draw out of the Arrow, though, because KT has spent the last minute just trying to set up wards around this Baron.
Yeah.
And without that, Smeb is still split pushing in the bottom side.
All right, tier 2 turret in bot going down in favor of KOO Tigers. Really nothing that KT can do to stop this. Smeb doesn't have teleport though, so maybe KT can put some Baron pressure on, but they're headed back to the mid lane.
Well, if they leave the Baron right now, KOO will successfully take a turret and gain vision control over the Baron, so good gambit. And,
exactly what's happening.
Yeah, KT, they saw Victor pushing out again in the top side, but they didn't want to commit to that gank, so they're kind of just getting run around the map right now by the Tigers.
Suddenly a deficit for KOO turns into a 3,000 gold lead here at about 24 minutes. I think KOO really wanted that Raptor. Cared more about it than Chris Pratt cared about his Raptors in Jurassic World.
Thank God, I still haven't seen that movie.
You're missing out, man.
No, I'm not. You are lying to me.
A T-Rex fights a bigger T-Rex. What more could you ask for?
I don't think you're doing a very good job of convincing me. Plot. We have a Pratt that's close to a plot.
It's close.
Yeah. You still don't think it's what you're looking for? Okay.
It's definitely not.
You're so hard to please, Monte Cristo.
Hey, I like the first Jurassic Park. What can I say?
Well, I would say you have good taste.
You know, the new Jurassic World makes it like the other Jurassic Park movies didn't happen. Like it goes back to the same park years later.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it has the same plot that you so loved in the first movie.
Basically,
You're not
nobody
fooling me.
learned their lesson from the first movie, I guess. It's like nobody learned their lesson from the last game.
Seems like it. Or the lesson of not fighting Dragon when you can't group up.
I mean, that's really what it is. I mean, KT is just kind of taking some poor fights here in games 2 and games 3, and unleash the dinosaurs of KOO Tigers, which it makes it sound like I'm saying they're old, but they're not. They're just powerful beasts.
Aren't Tigers powerful enough for you? Do you really need to go to the whole dinosaur level?
Always. Always.
He's getting pretty powerful as well. The split push pressure is giving him a giant CS advantage. And Someday should be able to neutralize Smeb at the Nexus turret. I don't think Smeb will get to a point where he can actually dive the Malphite. But he's still going to be able to make sure Malphite has to consistently stay on the backside of the map.
Oh, Smeb. Jeez. Someday again. Man, that Fiora does a ton of damage after she gets a couple items.
Yeah, well, specifically the Vitals as well, because proccing those cuts through pretty much everything.
Yeah. Who knew Malphite had Vitals? I thought he was just a bunch of rock. Silly me.
No weak points that you can stab with your pretty little fencing foil.
Today I learned. KT's managed to sort of barely hold on in the last few minutes here, and it's less than a minute until the next Dragon now. That's really where things could go very right or very wrong for either one of these teams.
Already being 2 up, KOO feels pretty comfortable.
I remember what happened in game 1, though. It was that third Dragon where KT had that big team fight to bring it all back. They've certainly got the items, Death Cap on Nagne. They've got the Runin's Hurricane onto Arrow now.
They'd love to have that Last Whisper, but it's not actually going to be that important considering that Hojin is the only one really with armor here.
Yeah,
and
it's not a lot of armor.
Just a Warden's Mail, so it's not as crucial to this next team fight.
And I wonder if we're even going to get the straight-up team fight, because KOO Tigers has so much split push pressure with Smeb right now. I'm thinking they're going to try and run KT up and down that red side of their jungle again and again until they can pick off a squishy with an Ash Arrow. Because in a straight-up team fight, they'd still be in danger of that tremendous wombo combo that KT can put out.
Or they're just going to go for Dragon and fight it straight up.
That would be one of those things that KOO
Oh
would want
boy,
to do.
Score wants to get in to steal this one. He can't do it though. KOO gets their third Dragon. Can they win the team fight someday? Coming from behind with the knockup. KOO on the run. Hojin and Smeb caught up in the backlines. Here comes Kuro though. Arrow takes a lot of damage, but he gets a kill before he goes down. Onto Kuro. KT on the run. Anyway though, Smeb gets the grand challenge, gets that big heal for KOO Tigers, and they will chase KT over the moment. Nope, they'll get the fight. There we go. Actually, it's going to be a triple kill in the end for Prey. That is an ace for the KOO Tigers.
Yeah, another really sloppy fight there from KT. Sure, they got in, but the big mistake, Peekaboo punted the Victor on top of his Kalista right there.
Doesn't help.
And sure, it did get the kill, but Ash was totally safe on the backside of that fight to clean up. And a bit of an early Malphite ultimate there by Someday too.
So they're going for Baron, and nothing is going to stop them from taking it now.
Except for Baron himself, if he can fight back. No,
Yeah, he can't do that. He's not very strong after all.
KT was far too eager, I would say, for that fight. And honestly, I think KOO was too eager as well. I was expecting KOO to run back and forth because they did expose themselves to a potential wombo combo. And when we watched this replay, Smeb was actually on the far side of the Dragon Pit while they were forcing, so he didn't make it into this fight initially. It's just the fact that KT didn't take their time. With Lulu Kalista, KT needs to kill frontline and move slowly. But Someday goes where his team can't follow.
Yep.
Arrow tries to go there, and they actually throw Peekaboo in, punt Koro on top of Arrow into all the threat. Like, Smeb had flank position, so there, more patience would have been worth a team fight for KT. KOO played that well considering the circumstances they forced, and KT kind of took the bait, so to speak. Prey on the backside because he couldn't get closed on. Since his front line was so powerful, he was able to pick up a triple on the backside. And that fight in particular just gives KOO a massive edge in the game.
Yeah, 7,000 gold is the lead after they pick up that Baron post the fight. 3 Dragons, a Baron, 4 turrets. KOO Tigers looking really good, and KT in that similar position that we saw them in last game, where they really do need like a miracle team fight again to bring it back. And while that is a possibility, it's becoming more and more remote as the game goes on.
I really am puzzled by that, especially that headbutt in that last fight, because certainly that can be a good move if you have a lot of burst. But remember, KT isn't running a composition with a lot of burst. They need a lot of targets over time for Arrow to whittle down with this Kalista. So by getting in range of the entire Victor combo.
Here we go. Nagne has a wild growth. Can he even stay alive? Smeb's
Smeb.
going really deep, gets slowed, but oh man, that's a lot of damage. Wow. Gorilla using that Stand United to keep his top laner alive. Smeb coming in for a few parting shots on Someday as he backs out.
The second hit from Fiora's E is guaranteed to critically strike, and it's max ranked right now, so it is a full damage crit right there.
Oh.
Good night, Nagne. That's huge.
And this is some of the best Fiora play we've seen at this tournament so far. Smeb has been absolutely outstanding on this champion.
And I mean, look at this. KOO Tigers just taking turrets left and right now. It just doesn't seem like there's a lot KT can do. Someday in danger of dying here, comes back in with that unstoppable force. Point blank tries to set something up for Arrow and Peekaboo as they come in, but Smeb just taking some spears. He's going to go back in onto Someday. He gets the kill onto Someday, and he's fighting 1v3 before he finally gets shut down by Arrow.
And you know what, that's fine. They were sieging in the top side at the same time, managed to take an inhibitor, got another inhibitor turret, losing Smeb right there, considering he took down Someday with him. Not that big of a deal.
Yeah, I would say so.
He's 3 levels up now, Smeb, with this split push.
This is going to be so hard if KOO can close this out. So hard for KT to react to in the next game, because they've already defaulted to banning the Veigar in this match since they couldn't deal with it with Kuro. And Smeb picked Fiora very early on the red side. So with KT going to the red side next match, they have even fewer bans to work with. KOO has shown proficiency of playing specifically the Fiora and the Veigar to such success. Let's watch this solo kill again. A 3-level advantage, by the way.
Oh no, he's going after the vitals.
Yeah, whatever can you do? So it's 1 hit of the E, and then it's the second hit was the crit as well as the vital.
Yeah.
Just the most damage.
That's a lot. The last third of Lulu's health just disappeared. And yeah, if KOO Tigers take this game, they'll put themselves one win away from the semifinals, and a little bit of revenge for KT denying KOO Tigers a spot in the grand finals of Champion Summer.
It would be quite the turnaround, especially since KOO coming out of the groups, dropping those 2 games.
Oh, Nagne in trouble again. Smeb pushed away at the last moment by Peekaboo, though.
And if Smeb continues to be this effective, this game is over because Nagne cannot protect Arrow in team fights, and really Arrow being protected is the only way for KOO to win these slow slogging team fights.
Very true.
The fights are way too fast with how much damage KOO has accumulated right now.
Well, he's making the Lulu Ultra Self, which is always the sign that things are going wrong. Someday comes in, well, there's the Ash Arrow. Whoa, and Kuro picks up a kill. Peekaboo tries to re-engage. Arrow hopping away for his own safety. There we go, a nice big engage again. And I don't think there's a whole lot that KT can do at this point. Arrow keeping Smeb at bay for the moment. There's a flash W from Prey, and they are going to go for the win. Arrow, the last man standing, he goes down, and the KOO Tigers will take a dominating game number 3. There goes the Nexus. KOO Tigers 1 win away from the semifinals. GG.
Wow, and coming in, Kate.
Touch. So even though the game has changed around the Cassiopeia, it's still very viable in this head-to-head matchup. And Nagne, they make a big change, but they go back to a pick.
You know,
the changes KT has made to their team composition. This composition is better suited for the way KOO Tigers is winning.
True.
Nagne showing some of his flexibility. That is now the 25th unique mid lane champion we've seen at Worlds.
Holy cow.
Wow. So many unique champions at Worlds this year. And we're only in the quarterfinals now.
If you want to be a mid laner, learn 25 specific new champions to have the full pool. Unreal.
Wow. It's like learning to play Tekken suddenly. Like a billion different characters.
So all-time, 10 games for Nagne on Cassiopeia. He is 7-3.
Respectable.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, he's been a good Cassiopeia player, and Peekaboo tries to go in for the taunt on the Prey, takes a little bit of damage in response, but they're doing a good amount to Gorilla as well. Gorilla just dropping a ward on his way out. And KT going for a bit of a late invade into the jungle. We'll see what they decide to do. Just a ward over the wall into the red buff pit to keep an eye on where Hojin might be going.
They will just back right out after that. So is that 1 ward over in red? So we'll see if this affects the decision from the KOO Tigers as to where they're going to be pathing early. Looks like they are fainting up towards the top side, and we are going to be heading for standard lanes once again.
Yeah, now Nagne was originally known as an assassin player in that mid lane. Did have a little bit of trouble adapting to more of the control mage types, but over the course of 2015 especially, I feel like we've seen Nagne really come into his own as a more well-rounded mid laner.
Yeah, absolutely. And he, champion pool really hasn't been an issue for these guys this year, especially since assassins, generally speaking, this year haven't been as popular.
Did you see Prey throw that Peacemaker over the wall there? He must have a timing for when the Gromp normally goes down and try to steal it, but was not being done by KT this time. And he's going to miss on a little bit of XP because of it. Kind of a cool idea, though.
Nice thought. A lot of times you'll see the support going in to try and harass. Why not send the AD carry for an attempted steal? Caitlyn would be a champion who'd be able to do that, but...
Yeah, you can do it without too much danger if you do it from like way back there with the tilt-over Peacemaker. Oh, taunt on a Prey.
Really not a favorable trade.
Yeah, a little bit over-aggressive for Peekaboo.
Yeah, he taunted into 5 minions there.
Yeah. Does not help.
Okay, you can just throw swords to make it up. When Noah and I cosplayed as Shen, we realized how difficult it is to actually unsheathe Shen's swords from that.
Nearly impossible.
You actually can't do that.
You need like
really
a triple-jointed arm. Yeah. You need like an extra elbow to do what Shen does.
I mean, you'd really have to be a ninja in order to do that.
I don't know. Do ninjas have 2 elbows on each arm?
It's actually a prerequisite.
Is it?
Yeah.
No wonder you don't see him very often anymore. Who knew? Well, Smeb could be in a bit of trouble here. Might have to burn that flash.
The flash body slam.
Okay, there we go. And he did. Threatened enough that Smeb used that summoner to get away.
All right, but Hojin may have another angle into the enemy jungle as a result of that.
Definitely. Going to go right over and take that blue buff.
Yeah, this is definitely going to come. The level 2 gank is going to come with a price here. Hojin on top of that blue. And because, so KT had a ward at that red buff, so they knew what side of the jungle KOO started on, so they consciously made this decision. They knew that Hojin should be over on that side of the map at that given time, so is actually a pretty high price to pay. Hojin coming ahead in the jungle.
And now, depending on how greedy Hojin wants to be, he can push score off of his wolves as well if he waits.
Tons of pings going down.
Yeah, smart by score there to use his smite on the wolf so he can get the scouting. Otherwise, that would have been Hojin coming in towards the back end of that camp.
Yeah, meanwhile, they're going to try to make a play on the Nagne here in the mid lane, but Nagne already playing to the safer side of the lane. He can get back to his turret or his jungle if he needs to. And so KOO is going to quickly give that one up.
They're really going to be waiting for the scaling here. Of course, you are going to get that tier, the Goddess on Cassiopeia, so your power early not going to be too aggressive. Nice trade.
Yeah, no kidding. Prey taunted and the Flame Chopper's thrown down by Arrow immediately to set up that longer CC chain. Pretty good.
TP already used by Someday in the top side. Going through, and we will see something similar from Smeb as he recalls with that wave very close to his turret. Was hoping for perhaps a little bit of a freeze there, and he may get it as he TPs right back in.
Smeb doing his best to survive in this lane. Darius definitely having some of the early advantages. There's the gank.
Pulverize onto Peekaboo, and Peekaboo's going to flash and get shoved the wrong direction. Not bad at all. Peekaboo escapes.
I also want to call that really unlucky from Gorilla. When he flash pulverized, Peekaboo was on the very edge of the brush. So when he went to headbutt him backwards, he lost vision, and that allowed Peekaboo to then flash afterwards. So that's just the nature of the game sometimes.
Well, flash for flash. I mean, they did burn that exhaust as well during that engage. So all in all, it was 1 for 2 in favor of KOO Tigers. And getting a lot of damage onto the turret, too.
They are backed up right now. This Caitlyn matchup going much better this time around for Prey so far. Nice job denying some of the CS and getting some traps down right next to the turret, making it even harder to pick up the farm.
Pretty much. Hojin just farming for the moment anyway.
I wonder when Nagne's recall timing is going to be. Remember that he does have the teleport, so he can come back to lane. He definitely has enough money for the tier at the moment, but isn't going to start stacking it up just yet.
Yeah, wants to push Kuro in a little bit more, it looks like.
Yeah, this is a really good job early by Nagne. Honestly, I feel like Cassiopeia has a bit of ramp-up time, but he's been able to push Kuro in very successfully. This is why KOO Tigers were so scared of the Cassiopeia in the playoffs in the LCK.
I don't think they expected it to come out against it. I know I certainly didn't.
Yeah, well, I mean, we were even talking about it. It's just not a champion that we see in the meta very often these days, or really at all. So KT and Nagne kind of going back to an old standard when they really need to keep themselves alive at Worlds.
You see how conservative Someday's playing right now. He doesn't want to get ganked. He understands that Nagne really wants to press the advantage in the mid lane and is already pushing forward on the map, and so doesn't want to open up any kind of opportunities for KOO while the jungler is in the bottom side.
Well, the stats pretty similar for these two top laners between Smeb's Fiora and Someday's Darius.
Been a pretty reliable pick.
Yep.
Uh-oh.
Oh boy.
Prey. Danger down here.
Yeah, teleport coming down just to confirm it. Prey on top of those flame choppers. Yet again, gonna flash away. Turret hits doing a lot of damage to Peekaboo. Peekaboo nearly goes down. First blood goes to Peekaboo. And he makes it out. He must have had like 10 health there. Oh, revenge from the bloodthirsty support. Gorilla wants a kill too. Trying to take down Peekaboo, but can Peekaboo get that taunt off before Gorilla catches him?
Victor's on the way too.
That's right, the mid laner's calming down, and KOO Tigers trying to collapse down here in bot lane. Kuro doing a lot of damage to Nagne. Flame Chompers are dodged. Nagne in a lot of trouble, has no summoners, and he's gonna get taken out. Kill goes to Kuro. 1 for 1 in the end, but that's a kill on the mid laner for KOO, which makes it a bit better than Peekaboo taking that first blood.
Yeah, Peekaboo only got out with a sliver of health too. That was an overly aggressive dive that I think was appropriately punished by the KOO Tigers. Prey had his flash, and Nagne did not teleport in a position in which he could combo after the flash. He ends up burning 4 summoner spells just to get that initial kill, and it's ridiculous KT didn't get punished harder for that.
Yeah, and also just trying to start that play. Arrow had not been back to shop yet, so assuming you're going to burn somebody down with just a Doran's blade, and we also look at the buy from Nagne before the TP. Tier and Negatron Cloak? That's not a smart dive to make. You are not itemized to do that efficiently.
Yeah, well, Someday pulls Smeb in. That apprehend. Can't quite catch him at the Q, though. Close call for Smeb. And Nagne back to lane. Still not a ton of damage. Oh, there we go. A dive onto Someday. Smeb pops that ultimate score there to try to protect his top laner.
Can they turn it?
Smeb in a bit of trouble. They can. Someday with the kill there. Still low health. Nice explosive cast from Score. Hojin sent running, and he's going to get taken out by KT.
And
That's 2 kills for
this
KT.
isn't the first time we've seen Someday get an edge in the top lane. The question will be whether he can play smart enough to hold this one. This time, though, it was Hojin who flashed in for the initiation, and they didn't have the burst to take down Someday, allowing Score to come in for a nice counter gank. Look at the CS discrepancy even before anything else in that fight. Again, Score has outpassed Hojin in the early jungle, and when he found the 2v2, had the superiority.
Yeah, and especially because he had that ult by the time the fight began, too. So really doing a nice job. You see Hojin right here. They think they caught him out. Flash Cocoon immediately. There's the grand challenge coming down. Someday going to path back to Score. And then Smeb out of mana, too. Yeah, there's a heal coming through, and Score just keeps Hojin off from getting the return kill with that ultimate hitting 6.
Smeb was pretty low from the initial trading in that lane, so that makes that a much riskier ult than you would first assume if you can stun the Darius from the Fog of War.
And here's
well
something,
punished.
here's something to really watch too. When KOO Tigers get rattled, Hojin starts to over-prioritize ganking in top lane. That could have been the start of that. We're going to have to really watch that closely to see if there's starting to be a bit of a mental breakdown for the KOO Tigers already in Game 4.
I don't think they were that worried, especially because they did do such a good job of turning around the teleport gank in the bottom side.
You think so?
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
Nice
Taunt on to
TC.
Bray. Yeah, Bray stuck in place for a long time. Peekaboo taking a bit of damage himself too. Ends up being a decent trade for KT. Those AoE rockets doing a lot of damage to the bot lane from KOO.
Yeah, they had to back off, though. Gorilla was 6, so had that unbreakable will. Should they follow up? Peekaboo still only level 5 and not really going to be as useful in terms of ultimates in a 2v2 fight.
Yeah.
So nice. They got a good trade. Just take it, walk away.
I'm actually very surprised Peekaboo's been able to land so many taunts onto Prey. 650 range, 80 carry with a 90 caliber net that can get him out of range
It
mid
is kind of
taunt
surprising,
cast.
isn't it?
Especially with the danger of the chain CC from the Flame Chompers. That should be one of Prey's top priorities, is to not get taunted by the Shen.
It's a bit odd.
But Peekaboo's positioned well and used the Fog of War, and Prey has not wanted to net away defensively.
Oh, Peekaboo able to protect his pink ward for the moment. Keeping Gorilla from taking that one out, but now the lane is going to get pushed in KOO's favor. At least it was for the second anyway there.
It is so weird to see a series between 2 Korean teams where support Shen has become such a priority pick. This has never happened before.
We have not seen support Shen in Korea this year until Worlds. We didn't see it in Korea at all. Only here.
Welcome to Worlds.
I guess. Well,
KT is in a really, really strong position this game. Anagne, despite the poor teleport bottom lane, is farming up well, stacking his tier, not getting punished. Hojin yet to complete his jungle item, whereas Score's been sitting on Cinderhawk for quite some time. And Arrow's Jinx is farming up completely fine against Caitlyn. Pretty much everything KT needed to go right in the early game has gone right.
And Someday, too. What a difference in his play this game. After he got those kills, you could see he called Score up just to protect him in the lane for a counter gank in case he was ganked. As soon as he backs off, they push the wave into the turret. Someday walks into the river to ward. So they are taking many more precautions at conserving their top lane advantage in this game compared to the last couple.
very true. KT with the pressure on the bot lane now. Hojin's there to try to help out. He is recalling at the moment, though. CS fairly even in mid between Kuro and Nagne at the moment.
Kuro's actually done a nice job catching up. He was pretty far behind there for a while.
He has.
And he has rebounded in that lane, but Someday still a bit of a problem. Of course, finishing that phage early, so he does have that item advantage. And he's starting to run away with it in terms of farm as well.
Well, here comes Score. They're going to try to take away the blue buff, and it doesn't look like KOO is in a position to stop them at this point. We'll see. He may just want to dive up and top here. Someday, Smeb trying to bait him in, but Someday not quite going under turret yet.
I like Smeb using his riposte so early to block the decimate, so it's never even a threat to get 5 stacked for the ultimate. Also, Score doesn't realize he was spotted by a ward while going for deep wards. Gonna have to be very careful here since Gorilla did recall and head up that way to begin with.
Well, Nagne's gone. He does have TP if he wants to go for it. Hojin just going to go ahead and ward this up. Find that
Nope.
Score is already there.
Coming in. And, oh, who got it? Hojin. Able to take it for KOO. Didn't get on the mid laner, but at least they kept it away from KT.
I mean, that execute damage in spider form, you do just have a nice amount of burst there for Elise.
Yep. It's something anyway. Ooh, Ace in the hole already doing a decent amount of damage with that BF sword for Prey.
I like the early ace in the hole just for harassing lane from Caitlyn.
Yeah, why not?
Especially when the support is gone, they have to wait so the Peekaboo can't block it, but that was...
It's a low cooldown, it does a lot of damage, and when your team is trying to push things up to take control around Dragon, you might as well use it.
Nice job by KOO on the vision clear there. Very safe, considering they had the pink ward there, and they waited for 3 people before they cleared out enemy pink up towards that side, so they weren't going to get surprised by anything.
Yeah.
We're more likely to see the 3-lane push here from KT than we ever have been. Already an upgraded warding trinket by Nagne.
Oh boy, Gorilla's going to take a lot of damage. He may have to burn that ult. He does. And that's a pretty crucial ult to not have available when you're going in for Dragon. Never mind.
Here we go. Every teleport.
May have an opportunity as teleports come in. KT scaring KOO away. Hojin taken out. And KT continues to pull a little bit farther ahead every time these two teams crash into each other here in Game 4.
So Someday actually ended up canceling this teleport. Kuro still has his with that. But yeah, Hojin getting punished there for the squishy Runeglaive Elise.
Well, Someday able to get that top lane turret too by canceling the teleport, so they still certainly got a lot of value out of that.
Yeah, there's not really a way to KOO can go ahead and do this Dragon at this juncture either, of course, with the jungler down, but KT falls back to safety, just going to keep on split pushing, and they have so many wards in that bottom side river right now. Oh boy!
Oh boy, Prey taunted right after the explosive cast. Beautiful play by KT Rolster. Smeb on the run, turns around with her pos. Gorilla with the engage. Can Kuro do enough damage to turn this one around? He's going to throw the Chaos Storm down on the score, but with Nagne entering the fight, flash ult, he's going to get the slow on Gorilla and Smeb. Kuro still trying to get something done for KOO. He'll get 1 kill as Peekaboo gets a bit too close. Arrow grabs one in response, though.
Peekaboo did not need to come back into that
Kuro's
fight.
not done yet. Nagne playing it dangerously. Oh, where is he? Another kill for KT and Nagne.
I think that was a home run attempt for Kuro right there.
He
because
tried.
they're losing so much off of that fight. KT was supposed to be on the offensive, but Score's Gragas ultimate turned it into an offensive play because Someday, this whole time, is in a pressure position, which meant that KOO needed to press their advantage bottom lane. KOO lost absolutely everywhere, and they lost harder because Kuro tried to make up for it at the end of that last fight.
And because Smeb was in the bottom side, now he is down. We see just 100 about to 50 or 155 CS. So taking that, I mean, Smeb gets forward here. What a great ultimate, though, from Score. And then the chain right into the traps and the taunt.
Oh, man. Arrow getting excited on that Jinx. Gorilla with a nice counter engage to let Kuro come in and do something at least.
Yeah, big problem, too, was that death ray was very poor by Kuro, not actually hitting anybody. If he had been able to land his full combo, that may have gone the other way.
Yeah, unfortunately, Peekaboo flies in at the end, gets bopped by Kuro. Then the very end of this fight is quite interesting because Kuro's got blue buff and level 11, so he's quite strong. Lands a death ray onto both, which gets him greedy, but that's the thing about Victor. You have 2 spells and then you wait on long cooldowns.
Yeah.
After he landed those spells, he should have known that he can't finish them with auto attacks and just stayed by the wayside in safety.
You're not going to do well against a Cassiopeia that has that consistent damage output as well as the enemy 80 carry. A little bit too brave for Kuro there, and that's going to allow KT as well a pretty comfortable blue buff and pretty comfortable lead. 6,000 gold in 17 minutes. Pretty massive lead, actually, when you look at it.
Looking early like we're going to be getting that Game 5.
Oh, boy.
Could be.
I love Game 5s, chat.
It's not blind vision.
Still
Game 5.
KOO's going to be super happy about that. In the Game 5 blind pick they played over in the LCK,
true.
they played against Ashe, Leona,
It's a
and
very different
Elise
type of strategy. Right?
without bringing Cleanse because they didn't know they were going to be facing up against that level of chain CC.
Yeah.
KOO also, I feel like they've won picks and bans in 3 out of the 4 games so far. This one, KT had a nice curveball with the
nice.
Cassio.
Oh, what an engage by Score to throw Gorilla and Prey back into the enemy team. Gorilla pops that ultimate, so tanky. It's going to run out, though, and so is his life. Arrow with another kill. And it's just to save Prey, and
Someday is dead in the top side. Looks like Hojin and Smeb teaming up for a kill onto the KT top laner. Looks like we will see a turret trade when everything is said and done. Prey recalling right now, but will just stay back to defend the turret.
Yeah, KOO should be able to get this top lane turret before too long.
All things considered, that's actually a very good trade for the KOO Tigers, being down 7,000 gold, being able to trade a gank kill plus turret push. It'll stay good as long as they can defend this inner turret, which it looks like they'll be able to.
Yeah, and just like that, they've cut the 6,000 deficit down to 4,000.
Yeah, the big question is how big is this Cassiopeia going to get, though?
Yeah.
Because you have a 7,000 gold lead right now, 6,000 now. And the Cassiopeia is only going to get stronger, so someday decides to dribble his way into a call.
Ultimate. So he hides
Oh,
into
nice
the wall,
positioning.
so
Wow.
he can't get it off.
Hiding your vitals, always a smart thing to do
At
against
the
Fiora.
same time, he hit his vitals, and then Hojin had no problems landing the skill shots on the
guess
stationary
so.
areas.
Well, Someday was just a hair's breadth away from using his ultimate right there, too. He dived with his
Yeah.
ult still up. If he hadn't gotten cocooned at that precise moment, so good timing from Hojin. Turned that battle around, but
Yep.
I love these duels. I love
Me
Fiora
too.
versus Darius. It's just absolutely hilarious.
Definitely is.
Yeah, to answer your previous question about how big will Cassiopeia get, though, I feel like Nagne is going to get pretty gargantuan. He's already about 80 mana away from max stacking his Archangel Staff and transforming it into a Seraph's Embrace. I think that's what makes Cassiopeia so dangerous, especially in a matchup against Victor.
Oh, taunt on the Gorilla. Peekaboo being
that's
a
a lot of
bit
damage.
brave, though. Yeah, there's a headbutt. Peekaboo could be in a bit of trouble. Teleport's coming in for both sides. Canceled, though, for KT as Peekaboo runs away. And ace in the hole, not enough to finish him off, but here comes Smeb. Grand challenge onto Score. Score's going to try to get away from that blue buff pit. Gorilla comes in to the engage. Score's still in trouble. There's the kill. There's the heal. And Kuro now with a clear line for the damage on the arrow. Can he do a little bit more? And the auto attack gives Kuro the double kill. Someday a bit late to the party. And I think time's out for him. He's going to try it all. Oh, he got with the gravity field. Triple kill for Kuro. Oh, man.
I love how Gravity Field freezes animations for the most epic of interruptions. And
That was fantastic.
it's remarkable how KOO Tigers is coming back from this 6,000 pre-20-minute gold deficit, but it's almost classic KOO Tigers in that sense. Kuro on
is.
Victor is starting to take over this game, at least he's attempting to. Smeb was able to proc the appropriate amount of vitals, and KT just reached a little bit too far here.
Let's watch this one again. You know, Peekaboo has been making a lot of aggressive plays all game, and here's one that starts off a fight that does not go well for KT.
Well, here's the thing. With Score coming in, you see the TP start to fall. I think that KT expected this teleport that we're looking at from Smed to be canceled, because that's absolutely insane. But considering the cancel from the KT teleport, it was a 5v4 in the end. KOO with the nerves of steel, and you have to make plays like that if you want to get back in the game.
Yeah, and then Kuro obviously gets the healing from Smeb. Great gravity field placement around the bend, landing every single skill shot, weaving in his auto attacks. And at this point, Someday was cut off. He's basically just trying to make an escape, but Gorilla lands both of his skills really well, knock him back. That would have been a Kuro kill. Good night, Darian.
Insane. He's on fire, literally.
The ultimate rejection. At the peak of his jump.
Rejected. Well,
Oh no.
someday you dunk, some days you get dunked.
Also, we'll have to get a replay because our replay missed a kill on to Score, which actually gives KOO
Right.
the window to go and take this dragon.
Wow.
Which is shockingly going to be the first dragon of the game here at 22 minutes.
That has got to be one of the latest dragons we've seen here at Worlds, and KOO getting it. That's a nice big damage boost at this point in the game when people have some items. 6% makes a big difference. Exactly 6% of the difference, I suppose. If you think about it.
We stopped to analyze that one for just a second.
There you go. As I often do.
Yeah.
Let's watch Score die.
Oh boy.
Uh-oh.
He has just no control of his own jungle, and KOO is actually prepping the Baron. So a nice little bait there, knowing that they'd won the fight so substantially, going over to Baron, which necessitates a check. It's early on in the game, so they can't actually kill the Baron. Instead, they just bait the Baron, and that's just a smart strategic play. KOO knowing exactly where to gain their advantages from, even though they still hold a pretty big gold deficit. It goes to show how far behind they were.
Well, this is classic KOO Tigers, Jad. Get rocked in the early game, somehow, some way. Make it back in.
Pretty much.
6,000 plus gold at like 17
Yep.
minutes. That should basically be it.
I guarantee you right now, KT does not feel like they're 3,000 gold ahead, though. Or 2,000 gold, how it is now.
Yeah, I got confirmation, too. That was the latest first Dragon at Worlds.
Wow.
In the tournament to this point. So 22 minutes. Very delayed, but there's been a lot of fighting in this game. And emphasis on the towers. So KT, I still think comfortably has a scaling advantage here with this Cassiopeia. Of course, the Fed Victor going to cut into that just a little bit.
And how many times have we seen it with KOO winning, and we say, well, the mistake is that they gave KOO Victor. Well, here we are again in KT fighting for their tournament life, and they gave KOO Victor. It's a dangerous thing to do against the KOO Tigers.
Yeah, Score does have his flash up, and KOO was down a flash. I think one of the biggest weaknesses of Victor is when people can get directly on top of him and displace him. Yeah. He is mobile, and he has good defenses when you're running at him, but if you successfully close the distance, he can be punished. And KOO is in the danger right now where they have such a high concentration of their gold onto a flashless mage right now, and that is their weak point. Or their vital spot, you could say.
KT may try to take advantage of Someday coming up the river right now. Looks like he's going to be too late to catch KOO. They've already taken down the turret. So KOO Tigers safe for the moment anyway.
Yeah, but Smeb sacrificing a lot of farm for this, and he's falling further and further and further behind 164 to 237. Wow. The farm at the moment, but they're able to get a little bit of global gold onto him before sending him into that bottom side. Someday, you know, he does have a tendency to take over games like this as a player.
And I think it's very critical for the Fiora to not fall behind, because the team fighting of the Fiora, I think, is much weaker than the team fighting of a Darius when they're even or when Darius is ahead on gold. It's not the same in the other way. All 3 games that Smeb has played so far in Fiora, he's gotten that advantage in the split push, and it's been very key to KOO finding the victories because he either burns a key summoner during the split push before the team fight or flanks around while they're already ahead. This time Someday has been able to equalize that and actually get an edge.
Yeah, he's about 1,300 gold ahead at the moment too, which is quite substantial. And when we're talking about this specific team composition from KT, they have so many executes, Darius ult, Jinx ult, but it's the damage over time and the AoE damage from Jinx and Cassiopeia that are setups for a possible Darius pentakill here that is very, very dangerous.
You can tell that KOO knows this. You can tell they're aware of it. They sent Smeb down to the bot lane to get a little bit of farm by himself, try to catch up a little bit of that CS deficit. So we'll see if he can. He's got his teleport, so he can join his team if he needs to.
I also have to point out that Someday built the Quicksilver Sash. We've been talking about how good Smeb has been at proccing all those vitals, which does 40% true damage if you proc all 4 of them at this point of the game. But he can just QSS when Fiora ults on him and get rid of that threat.
Yeah, very true. And also QSS out of a very embarrassing gravity field once in a while. may want to save him for that one.
No more stylish poses.
No. Okay. It was very cool. Oh, Peekaboo blocks the damage that was destined for Arrow with that ace in the hole. An intense moment in the game. It's really a situation where it could go either way. A minute 30 till the next dragon. The second dragon in the game, even though we're about 27 minutes in. Oh, Score getting collapsed on. Arrow's right there, though. KOO forced to flash away. Peekaboo comes in with that stand united. KOO gonna get taken out by the Jinx rocket. And now Someday trying to flee here. KT wants to get a fight. Smeb comes in. He's gonna ult Peekaboo and not be able to finish him off. It's a dangerous moment for KOO. Without KOO, they don't have a whole lot of damage.
Oh, they're still hunting, though. There's the QSS.
Worked. He got out of that Elise cocoon.
Yeah, really made a big difference.
Yeah.
Sure
Success.
did. Wow, that item, worth it. Whoa, KT going for Baron right now with KOO out of commission. They're going to try a bit of KOO can delay it. It's only 12 seconds until he comes back. Prey taunted Peekaboo. Get him, it's overly aggressive. There's a kill for Prey. Gorilla pops that ult, stays alive. Prey getting some nice angles for damage on the edge of this fight. Smeb is right there as well, too. KOO a bit. Oh, there they go. They caught Someday. No QSS. No more Darius, and KOO turns to fight around Nagne. Chaos Storm on top of him as he slithers to safety for the moment.
I don't think that Baron play is ever going to work for KT.
I don't think so either.
Teleport up and is up in 10 seconds. KT so close to taking control of this game once again with Score making a nice catch on a KOO. I think Score has played fantastically this series, but KT just makes a team-wide mistake with that call to go for Baron.
Well, I think it's fine if you want to peel off of the Baron and try and finish up that fight, but KT just didn't do that. Peekaboo went in too early, got chunked out, had to flash out of that engagement, and there wasn't follow-up. So very poorly played here by KT. He got spotted by Prey. That was actually a very nice trinket.
Beautiful trinket by Prey. At that point, Peekaboo would need to run away because his team was still during the Baron. Smeb also has flank position right here, which makes the retreat even more difficult. And I love the headiness as well of KOO to buy home guards when he respawned because he knew he needed to close on this fight. Zooms ahead, gets the spells on Inagne and completely pushes him out of the fight.
Arrow nearly died to Prey's ultimate that fight too. Now KOO able to take an easy second dragon. And just like that, gold lead for KOO Tigers after being down 6K. Man, these teams are so close every single game, back and forth. But in game 4, the game that could send the KOO Tigers to the semifinals, they've taken the lead once again.
I think that was just a huge error from KT. They knew KOO's teleport was up and available. And the death timers, I mean, we're still sub 30 minutes into this game, so they're not going to be so long yet. And KOO has somehow managed to find a 2-level lead on Nagne here, despite having approximately even CS.
Yeah.
I mean, they've been winning fight after fight, and KOO's just consistently been able to clear minion waves. Not to mention he got slingshot a little bit because KT was ahead on experience and gold, so because he was the lower experience member, he gained more experience for the kills, and KT honestly just hasn't killed them back since there's been no turning back since this game started to reverse.
You know, now Smeb is down a lot on CS, but he's got enough items that he is relevant. And look at this, 2 turrets, just like that, already with this Baron buff from the KOO Tigers. And Smeb trying to make a play on to Someday here. This is brave. Gorilla can't protect him with Arrow auto-attacking him from over the wall, and Smeb has to back away. Whoa, Smeb has riposte the ultimate.
It is just not Sunday's day.
No, it is not. And now the inhibitor in a lot of trouble. KOO Tigers have broke open the door of KT's base.
Yeah, this is really an amazing comeback by KOO Tigers in this game.
He riposted that ultimate. That was awesome.
I mean, I've been so impressed. Smeb looked a bit shaky in game 1, but ever since then on this Fiora, it's been really quite impressive.
Yeah, KT needs to make a play right now if they want to save this inhibitor, if they want to save their game. I don't know if they can, though. That cannon minion's doing damage. Someday gets jumped on.
Oh,
they're trying to make a play there. Chaos Storm not doing enough. They get the inhibitor. They get Peekaboo, and they can just back away. No need to put any more pressure on. They got what they came for and more.
This could be KOO moving on to the semifinals. If this happened, it would actually be one team from every group moving on to the semifinals.
Wow. Well, that's great. And coming into this, you know, a lot of people, myself included, were predicting KT. It's not over yet, but KOO bringing some stuff we were not expecting. Let's watch that fight again. Smeb.
Well, they basically just make a decision right here. And Smeb, there's the riposte. And they wanted to make a play. They send their damage dealers over to that side to try and get a pick and then move the game forward from there. But instead, they just end up losing their inhibitor turret.
Yeah. Look at the gold differences all the way until roughly about the 28-minute mark in favor of KT, and then KOO bringing it right back again.
Yeah, and it's made worse by the fact that KT actually had and has a pretty good scaling team composition. If Nagne can get in the right positions on Cassiopeia, Score can catch the squishy targets out of position, and Arrow can shoot from the back line. Even if the gold is like this around 32 minutes, KT is by no means out of it, but they just feel really disorganized at this point of the game. KOO Tigers has so much momentum, and I feel like their mentality is stronger. They're making the proper calls, and I've seen a lot of really poor decisions from Peekaboo and the rest of KT in the last 15 minutes.
Well, when KOO Tigers group is 5, we found it's really hard to stop these guys, and KT could still definitely turn this game around. They've got to get some confidence back. After those last couple fights, anybody would be feeling not that great.
And it goes to show the swinginess of this game. Your normal Baron power play gives about 3,000 gold, 6,448 from that last one.
Yep. Smeb split pushing here with those super minions in the bot lane as KOO Tigers move towards the inhibitor turret up top.
Score has his flash right now. You would hope that he tries to pull the trigger on a body slam flash, but they need to clear these super minions away from their Nexus turret first. Darius doesn't actually do it that quickly.
Yeah. Oh, they're going to lose the Nexus turret. They do.
Great pressure that they wanted just to have Peekaboo in that bottom side trying to run interference, but Smeb goes down there in the 4-1 split, working wonders once again for KOO.
So KOO's going to back away. A minute 40 until that next dragon comes back. They're going to find Prey, though. Uh-oh. Could be an opportunity, but nope. Prey able to net his way to safety. I'd call that a net win for the Tigers. Don't worry, I'm going back to 3 after today.
Gotta shove the bad jokes in
Get
there
on
while
the
you
plane
can.
as fast as I can. I gotta get out of here. Yep. Oh, Score finds some KOO Tigers players. KOO trying to find time to recall and buy some items. They're able to do it. Minute until the next dragon.
Look at the vision control right now from the KOO Tigers. It is just so complete around that Baron. They have absolute information about what is happening in the enemy jungle, and that's going to be very useful when some of these objectives start to pop in about a minute. They should be very comfortable, and KOO looking like it'll be a pretty easy closure to this game, barring some sort of catastrophic team fight that KT can engineer.
Yeah, especially Nagne yet to hit his death cap. Because of the way Cassiopeia works as well, he's been slowly stacking up the aspect of the Serpent. He's at 420 stacks. At 500, of course, he gets a bonus 40% of ability power.
It's a lot.
And then the death cap would make it so much. So he would go from about 500 to 1,000 AP if this game does stretch to 40 minutes. So there actually is still some stalling KT can do if they stop the relentlessness of KOO Tigers so far.
Well, they definitely know that. KOO knows it too. It's still a very tense game between these two teams. That 5K gold lead at this point in the game doesn't mean a whole lot. Who's going to get this next Baron, though? This next Baron fight is going to, I would say, almost certainly decide the winner of the game. The Dragon's going to KT, or to KOO, rather.
And the Baron is really not coming at the right time for KT Rolster. They're already down a Nexus turret, and their inhibitor is yet to respawn. They can't commit people down to that Baron area, and I don't even know if they want to, because a 5-on-5 fight at this point, before Cassiopeia hits that late-game form, is not very ideal. Like, this actually is a Baron you might need to give up 100%.
I mean, and if you do that, you kind of wonder if you can stop the KOO Tigers.
Well, the nice thing KT has going for them is great kiting potential. So they're not really going to be able to be dove with Cassiopeia and Shen at some of these turrets. So maybe that would be the way to discourage a game from ending. But again, you have the Victor Gravity Field and the Caitlyn to siege. So it still would be hard. This is a very, very tough decision for KT to make.
There's a very high percentage win here for the KOO Tigers based on the current circumstances. It'll really be down to their execution, in my opinion, because even if they want to dive turrets, they have Rolster, one of the best champions for such situations, getting the flat damage reduction.
Yeah.
The longer KT can stall, though, the better it is for them. Death cap was completed by Nagne, and their inhibitor has respawned.
Just came back.
That's great timing for them, really. They managed to prevent the instant Baron take. We do see Someday fading back into
It's a trap.
his Nexus fountain.
It's a trap. And are they going to catch Score here? Maybe. Ace in the hole comes in. They get him with the cocoon. Score could be going down, tries to make it out. Looks like he'll barely live.
They used a lot on that, though. They're going to go on to the Baron immediately.
Wow, okay, with Score so low, they think they're safe to take it. Gorilla in the back lines hasn't used his ultimate yet, so that Alistar is still very tanky. KT, this is their season. This is their year on the line, and the KOO Tigers get the Baron. KOO backing away. Someday trying to make a play with Darius, trying to get the resets. He can't. Prey with the kill, and with Someday out of the way, KT's worlds may be over.
That was such a well-executed Baron by the KOO Tigers. They had the wards around when as soon as they saw Score, immediately dumped the damage on him so he would have a very hard time actually contesting that Baron, and then kept the pressure on Gorilla on the outside, never letting him even get a chance for a steal, and forcing the...
Smeb onto Peekaboo. A lot of damage done there. He's going to use the ultimate even through the exhaust. Gorilla comes in to try to support his top laner. Score takes a dirt nap. And Kuro takes a lot of damage, but they're going to send Nagne back towards the base as well as they take out another inhibitor. KOO, low health, but they are taking apart KT's base. Going for another one. I think it might be time to go back after this. We'll see if they decide they can end it.
See Smeb right there, mouth moving. He is the main shot caller for the KOO Tigers. So they are just going to back off, take the Baron, take the 2 inhibitors that they managed to get. KT stays alive for just a little bit longer.
Man, I mean, it is about as close as it can possibly get with the picks that KOO have been making here.
Yeah, KOO just a continuous play of success right there, I'd have to say. Peekaboo making a lot of unfortunate mistakes. I feel like the taunt at the very beginning of that Baron fight on an Alistair where he extended his flash would have been wondrous if he could have joined someday in that fight on the inside. And then as far as the double inhib taking, that's about as best the KT could have hoped for. It's lucky that the game actually isn't over. If Arrow dies, though, I think the game is over.
Smeb trying to find him. Gorilla's right there. Arrow taking a lot of damage. Gorilla comes in. Score trying to save his AD carry. Pushes Gorilla back into him, though. Turret doing damage to Alistar. Peekaboo gets the taunt. Gorilla could be in trouble. Has to use that ultimate to stay alive, but he can't. Arrow with a kill, and KT may have found an opportunity, but there's so many super minions coming into the base. Does KOO even need Gorilla to be alive right now?
Well, the minions aren't there quite yet, so KT wants to hold this a bit longer, but there it goes.
They're going in. They want to fight the 4v5. Smeb at about half health. This may be a bit too dangerous, but KOO, they see victory right in front of them. They see a dead inhibitor as well. That's all 3 inhibitors down now. KT in a bit of trouble. They're going to send Smeb to push up this bottom lane. Hey, dueling with Someday. Gotta be careful there. I wouldn't want to duel with a Darius, especially at this point in the game. That Nexus turret getting a bit low as Score comes from the side. Peekaboo there as well. Score gets taken down. A kill for Kuro. And KOO, with that kill, may have done it. The Nexus is exposed. And in summer season, it was KT Rolster, but KOO with a chance at revenge in just 4 games this time. And there it is. KOO Tigers go to the semifinals.
Wow, coming second place out of their group, too, behind the Flash Wolves. Come in here and deliver a vintage KOO Tigers performance, playing from behind, showing the strength of their team fighting and shot calling, and these guys are elated.
KOO really stepped it up in this series. Smeb in particular, even when he was behind in lane, he had the strength in team fighting, the right pick potential. Kuro went back on the old picks and Victor. Prey had successful ultimates in these team fights and had good positioning. Really, it was a team effort, but on the back of Smeb.
You know, since the spring season, since what happened at IM Katowice, people have been asking, can the KOO Tigers perform on the international stage? I would say this is a resounding yes, as KOO Tigers are moving on to the semifinals. What a series.
Yeah, very nicely played. And we look at KT's bans in this series. Vhagar, Kennen, Tahm Kench. These are bans that